Bigger, better, bolder. The cold, hard truth is taking talk to the next level. Right here on Bobo 89.1 FM, Cayman's Community Radio. We are still spilling the tea and committed to being part of the change that Cayman so desperately needs. Join Sandy Hill weekdays from 7:30 a.m. for Premier Access, Cayman Voices, Truthful Thursdays, and much more. Cayman's #1 talk show is now bigger, better, bolder, and more than talk. Getting results with hot topics, consumer reports, court exposés, and more.
I've come to set the record straight. I've come to shine the light on you. Let me introduce myself. I am the cold, hard truth.
Now, from the CMR studio in Grand Cayman, live, direct, it's the cold, hard truth. Now, join the conversation on 345-936-2626.
That number again is
345-936-2626.
Get your water ready, get your tea ready.
Sandra all the time is here with the cold hard truth. She's the ears and the eyes for me and you. Every day, everyone want to hear from Sandra. And every time on the air, she's getting better. So tell your sister, tell your brother, tell your mama to call Sandra in the morning and in the evening. They always calling Sandra. And when they start fighting, they calling Sandra. And they start robbing, they calling Sandra. And if the rooster fly in the kitchen, they calling Sandra. And when they want to get the money, they calling Sandra. And even when they lose their honey, they calling Sandra. Every day, everyone wanna hear from Sandra. And all the time on the air, she's getting better. Some people say, honey child, that she's a savior. She's not afraid to say, and she will tell you. Tell your sister, tell your brother, tell your mama to call Sandra in the morning and in the evening. They always calling Sandra. Tell your brother, tell your father, tell your mama to call Sandra in the morning, in the evening. They always calling Sandra. Politicians start fighting, calling Sandra. And when they start the bad parking, they calling Sandra. Landlord and tenant dispute, they calling Sandra. And all the problem with the youth, they calling Sandra. Honey child. Plenty money, calling Sandra. And they run away with your honey, calling Sandra. Every accident around, calling Sandra. And if your dog can't be found, calling Sandra. from overseas, they call him Sandra, and even the burglaries.
Good morning. Good morning. Happy Hump Day Wednesday. How are you guys doing today? Oh gosh. Oops. Let me adjust my little camera here. Still trying to sort out a few things, I must say, with the camera situation. So, oh my goodness, my camera is so much wider than it usually is. I think I've got to uninstall and reinstall some software. But anyway, you guys get to see Gianna's beautiful, look here, her beautiful pictures, her beautiful drawings. Look at the dog she drew. And a friend actually drew this little character. I forget what his name is again. Anyway, her Christmas drawing. I think that's Santa's hat back there. You get to see all the amazing drawings on the board there. I hope you guys are having a good day. I'm still fighting this situation, this cold. Oh my God. Woo. I don't know what this is. This is like the lingering cold that never wants to leave you alone. Anyway, the show must go on. I got my Ricolas. I decided this morning to get the whole container full because I might need more than one or two to get me through the next 3 hours. So, morning to everyone. Yes, 11 days until Christmas. Let the countdown begin. Somebody laughing. At one of the discussion points this morning, we got a lot to discuss, so let's just dive in. So first of all, we got to touch on politics. I mean, for me, politics is life. So I don't see politics as a separate conversation from everything else that we discuss in life, right? We paid politicians. They make a very good salary. It was interesting that so many of you were shocked, although we had discussed it, when another headline said, oh, by the way, the Premier of Cayman Islands is one of the highest paid leaders in the entire world. I told y'all that. We looked at the salary of the president of the United States, 400,000 US. You do the conversion. She's pretty much making what he's making. And he is running a country, of millions of people. Now, forget about who's in the position right now, right? The responsibility, military codes that he can press and blow up half the world. That's quite a position. And our keystone politicians, and I hate to call them that, but most of them, that's exactly what they are. Our keystone politician are making the same salary as a G7 nation. And here, don't get me wrong, because in principle, I don't have any issues with that if they were performing at a top level. My issue is with the lack of performance. That's what I'm like. We're not getting money. We're not getting value for money. Now, the Auditor General's report that looked at, all these figures and whatever, didn't really examine value for money. I don't know if she could even touch that topic because that's so political. But we, the people, we, the voters, can touch it. And hello, that's why I'm here, to try to hold people accountable. And if we can't start at the top in terms of accountability, where are we going? No, sir. Oh, good morning, sir. You do know it's morning time and the show is live and direct. Yes, sir. Hello. How you forget? Yeah, okay. Oh my gosh, people forget. The day that they're not listening, they forget we're actually live, right? Anyway, it really, folks, is all about accountability at all levels. And we have to start with political accountability. Just give me 1 second here. I'm trying to remotely do something. So, Lord have mercy. Oh, there we go. This little app takes so long to do anything. My goodness. So yeah, so that's exactly what it is, right? And Rita got something else on. Why? Lord have mercy. Hold on. Let me get this AI thing to kick back in. 1 second. Let's play the song again. Get your water ready. Get your tea ready.
Sandra all the time is here with the cold hard truth. She's the ears and the eyes for me and you. Every day, everyone want to hear from Sandra. And every time on the air, she's getting better. Tell your sister, tell your brother, tell your mama to call Sandra in the morning and in the evening.
All right, folks, I understand that we're back live on radio. The thing is just really, really sensitive. I'm going to ask if we can't have it adjusted a little bit because I need to be able to breathe in between, in between my words. So it apparently has, I don't know how many seconds, but it's clearly not enough. If it hears what it senses is dead air, it kicks in like an audio reel or whatever. And then I've got to play some solid audio for about 30 seconds for it to pull back in. Modern technology is great until it ain't great. So I need to be able to pause because, nobody speaks nonstop. Sorry, without pausing, especially when you're struggling to even talk to begin with. Ooh, honey, child. Come on, AI. But I'll see if they can adjust. Maybe there's some sensitivity dial or something that they can adjust a little bit. So yes, folks, I tell you what, we're going to hold them accountable. They may not like it. And I know for a fact a lot of them don't. And I remain unbothered by the fact that they don't like it. It is what it is. They'll be just fine. We're paying you too much money for you to be sensitive about anything. You're going to be just fine, honey child. If you weren't up for the job, who told you to go and apply, accept the job, campaign for the job, accept the job, and then sit down talking about, where? The people are this and that. And, I'm so sick and tired of politics. No way. It's just... yeah. It's just absolutely unbelievable. So let's get it. Good morning, everyone. Mr. Robert, Miss Barbara. Where's Miss Vanita this morning? Oh, there she is. Woo, Miss Vanita. I missed your comment, honey child. Good morning. She said, make haste to help us, O Lord. Let them be ashamed and confounded who seek after our lives. I think I might be confounded by that statement. I don't know. Let them be confounded, ashamed and confounded who seek after our lives. Seek after our lives as in, Okay. Wow. I'm confounded by that, but I'm going to just let it go. Morning, Miss Barbara, Miss Juanita. Wee. Patricia Blake is in the house saying good morning. Hump Day Wednesday to everybody. Good morning to you, my darling. Pat is here. She says good morning. She's living in paradise. Yes, honey child. We can be living in paradise. That's for sure. We just need to tweak a couple of things. So it's like paradise that needs to be tweaked. You get me? All right. Yes. Melanie House has me cracking up. She says protecting Alden's hair, question mark. We'll get there. Good morning. Miss Barbara says, absolutely love the song. Thank you so much. And thank you to Mr. Berman Scott for that amazing song. Someone just messaged me and said, Miss Sandy, my son is in the car. Hold on. Let me see here. They said, good morning, Miss Sandy. We just heard your opening song, Calling Sandra. It's actually, the title of the song is Tell Your Mama. And my son said to me, Mommy, Miss Sandy made it. She's a celebrity now. She has her own song. Oh my gosh. That is too funny. All right. So, yes. Let me see here. Okay. Yes, honey child. All right. So, yeah, I mean, ridiculousness. Damaris, good morning. Miss Linda, buenos dias. Live says protecting Alden's here. Lord, give us strength. Don't worry, it's going to make perfect sense here in a minute. Thank you, Miss Barbara. She says, you look amazing today. Oh, I appreciate that. I haven't done much. It's the purple color. All right, Siobhan is in the house. Gina is here. Good morning to the beautiful Gina. Cousin Gina. Aliano, thank you. Miss Morna. Emma says, good morning, beautiful people of the Cayman Islands. Have a fantastic day. God bless everyone. Miss Juanita Smith is also in the house. Debbie is here. Irvin says, season greetings. Olivia, good morning. Miss Olive, yes. Marva Mills says, good morning, Lady Jenny. Good morning to Alice. Andrea Stone is here. Beautiful Andrea. I love the photo. Oh gosh, let me see now if I can pronounce this name. Ban Mati. Hopefully I didn't torture your name too much. First Lady Jayanne in the house. Thank you, Miss Dorothy McLeod. Strong Wilt says your top is beautiful. I'm here. I'm late for class. Traffic was bad. How are you gonna blame being late for class on traffic when our class is online? You know, I can imagine, folks, that when we went to online format, we've all done this before. You'd be like, oh, you know, the dog ate my homework. Well, when you started uploading homework electronically, you no longer had that excuse unless the dog ate the entire computer. You couldn't tell your professor. Oh, it got blown away in the wind as I was walking. My term paper was in my hand and it was so windy, got blown away as I was walking to class. The professor's like, you're uploading it online now. That's not possible. Andrea wants to hear the song again. Don't worry, we'll be playing it plenty. Miss Marva says, I don't know why I keep calling you Lady Jenny. Please forgive me, Lady Sandra. I was going to say I saw it, but I wasn't quite sure who Lady Jenny was. But you know, I'll take it, I guess. Oh my God. Yes, KK, I will be posting the video on social media. So she's saying the incident with the boys showing up at the person's house. Can you post the video on your Facebook or something? I will. By the way, the police, the MASH unit, still have not contacted that family. The mother has tried to, or the grandmother has tried to take matters into her own hands, went to the school. I got an update yesterday. Went to the school. And can you believe that the school told her it has nothing to do with us because they are, has nothing to do with us because it happened outside of school. My God, y'all need some help. But we'll get to that here in a second, KK. Don't worry. We'll give an update on the agenda this morning. Good morning to the beautiful Jean. Hey, Jean. Girl, I've not seen you in donkey years. Where have you been, honey child? So good to see you. Lavana's in the house. Good morning to the beautiful Lavana. Tracy Reed is here. Hi, Tracy. Marcia. Let's get it. All right. So we're talking about accountability. And I'm trying to see if Kevin, let me see if I got a video link here ready. Because I want to demonstrate to you guys how incredibly unaccountable government is. It boggles my mind, I must say. that we are spending $500 million on the civil service. Sorry. Right. So we are spending $500 million on the civil service. And yet we have no real accountability. The politicians are so incredibly duplicitous, right? Let me tell you what they do. They say, and I've heard more than one of them say it. Oh, I can't do anything about that because that's the remit of the civil service. The civil service is running the show. We politicians don't have as much power as you think. Okay. That's interesting. And I'm not going to say that that's not necessarily true either. But, sometimes there's more than one truth that can stand side by side and actually work together. So, yes, that, oh gosh. Sorry. So, all right. I'm going to demonstrate to you guys exactly what I mean by this. So they're able to, on the one hand, put the blame on the civil service when they can't get it done. And yet they can publicly get on a platform and make comments supportive of the civil service, supportive of a particular agency or department. They're going to give them more money, and they're going to give them more money with no accountability. To me, that blows my mind. But I'm going to put a pause right there because I need a video clip first to be able to show you all exactly what it is that I'm talking about. All right? So bear with me. Thank you for the person just sending that Singapore link. I've seen it before, and I'll share it here with our listeners in just a bit as well. So let's start another conversation while I'm waiting on some video links to reach me. The referendum. Oh, God. I can't even with poor Kenneth. Listen, I have a lot of hope for Kenneth. He's a young, budding politician. Well, not budding. He is a politician. I think he's done well for himself. As they would say, you've come a long way, honey child. And although you've come a long way, I think that there are a lot of times when it is so obvious that you still have a long way to go. In your political understanding, your political development, your political journey, you're not there yet. And this is why I said, when people are saying, oh, he has expressed interest the last time in being deputy premier when the previous premier, Mr. Wayne Panton, had to pick a deputy premier. I said, but he's not ready for that. What makes Kenneth think he's ready? He's not there yet. He can't even sort out the darn port. He has boards lying to him, and he is so, I don't want to blame him for this, but I have to blame him for this. He lacks a degree of discernment to know when people are hoodwinking him, when they're lying to him, et cetera, et cetera. So how are you going to be ready for premiership or deputy premier? You're not ready, right? Just 2 tours ago, you were in the opposition, barely holding on to being in the opposition. You still have a lot to learn. And this is one of the things that I find with this younger group of politicians, the lack of experience that they have and their inability to really accept their limitations and to understand, why I'm not ready. Like it's an inability to be self-reflective. It's an inability to hold on one second. The timestamp is actually in the transcripts. So it is your inability to, self-reflective isn't even the word that I'm really looking for, but it'll have to do until the right word comes to me. But that's the problem, right? When you can't say, you know what? I have to be my biggest critic. I have to know where I'm at in my journey. And I also need to humble myself and be ready to just sit back and learn. He just made another mistake that, as now a minister and a more seasoned politician, I'm really surprised that he's still doing it. That's why I just made those initial comments. Because had he been, seasoned enough, he would not have put out and said in Parliament that he is looking for to do a referendum on the port. Jeez on peace. What? You're looking to do a referendum on the port. That demonstrates that you're not paying attention, son. You don't really have a pulse of the community. Do a referendum for what? We've been doing polls on this program, yes? Trying to get the pulse of the community in a number of different topics. Not even me needs to do a poll on the port. The people have spoken. They have shouted. My apologies. From the rooftops that they do not want a cruise port facility in Georgetown. How much simpler do they need to say it? How much more, or how many different ways do they need to say the exact same thing? The fact that you think we need a port referendum demonstrates that you don't have a clue. You're not listening to what the people have said. The only reason that they were asking, oh my gosh, I sound horrible. The only reason why they were asking for this so-called referendum is because the previous administration, the Progressives administration, refused to listen to the people. So the only alternative was like, okay, you won't listen to us on the mall road, on the streets. The only way we can get you constitutionally to listen to us is demand that you call a referendum. We will show up in droves. We will vote against this referendum. And then you will have your answer definitively. That's the only reason they were out there getting the petition signed. The people don't really want a referendum. Huh? What the people want is no cruise berthing facility in Georgetown. Simple as that. And the fact that you don't understand that you actually believe that the people want and need a referendum on this issue blows my you-know-what mind. If it was 10:30, I would probably use a couple colorful words right now. I'm like, what? Are you kidding me? How did you not get that memo? No, sir. What am I missing here? What am I missing? Because you're missing something, and I do not understand it. That lack of understanding, that lack of clarity about something so big, so massive, right? Can anyone explain this to me? Can anyone explain to me why Kenneth, the Honorable Minister of Tourism and Ports, the Honorable Kenneth Bryan, actually thinks that we want a referendum, as though he doesn't know what the wishes of the people are? Where did we go wrong, Kenneth? I'm trying to understand it. I'm dumb. I'm literally, when I saw Renee put out the story yesterday, right? and I read the headline, I was like, say what? A referendum on wasting money on what? No, sir. And everybody kept messaging me, Miss Sandy, has Kenneth lost his damn mind? I was like, geez, and peace. No, sir. Good morning, caller.
I am as perturbed and as perplexed as the rest of the whole entire Cayman Islands that did not support the court the last time.
But did he not get the memo?
Didn't we already have a referendum to say that we didn't want a court? And then the former Sir Knight Alden, whatever he goes by now, didn't he get shot down about it as well after they spent somewhere in the region of about $9 million on advertising and campaigning for the court, and they said it would cost the country nothing, remember? But they had already gone ahead and spent, I believe the last figure was $8.72 million in advertising dollars. The DG even went as far to allow civil servants to be in this propaganda. I personally called out the DG during that time. Persons like Shirley Ralston, who went to bat and literally took the gun for it. And we're here again because we don't have enough going on here. Who is tackling consumer protection?
Nobody.
Who is tackling the cost of living? Who is tackling the failing education system? Who is tackling NAU? That is a riot and a mess. Who is tackling the rising crimes in this country? Who is tackling criminality? Who is tracking pedophilia? We don't have enough on our plate. We need a court. For what? What? We need a $50 million school in Cayman Brackle.
Lord
we need
have
that
mercy.
though. We can't even get a crosswalk for Ms. Valoni by Mr. Arthur. But we need a court. Make it make sense, because we've nothing better to do with my children's money, your child's money, and the rest of every Caymanian child in this country. All I would like to say to them and to the minister in particular, because everything out of him as of late seems to be, we need a referendum, we need a referendum. How many times are we going to do this blasted referendum? How many times?
Let me say this, caller. And again, this speaks to, unfortunately, this is why this is an issue now with Kenneth himself. This speaks to his lack of political maturity. One of the things that Kenneth used to do, and I don't know if y'all remember when he first got in, is everything was
for everything.
Yes. I need a survey. I need the pulse of the people. And I have said to Kenneth, you know, I'm no political advisor, but I got a little bit of common sense. And I've been around for a minute. I said to Kenneth, Kenneth, stop saying that. We have elected you and we're paying you all this bag of money. Because you should be able to know what it is that the people want. You should be listening to their voices. And if you're not doing that.
I mean, if I recall, if he really wants the public to remind him of what we actually wanted and what we still need and what they promised to deliver, how about he go check the cost of health insurance? How about he go check the cost of house insurance? How about they go look at those things? Because those things will have an absolute impact on every household. It'll directly hit the bottom line of every household in this country. Get those things done first. Let us see how you do with those. We don't need no blasted port. We don't need it. We never did. And if my mind serves me correctly, wasn't he also in support of no port? I'm confused. And now just 2 years, I don't even know if it's 2 years later, now we need a referendum for a port. Why? Make it make sense. And it's so funny. I tell you, I don't know, maybe God works in mysterious ways. I was about to post just this morning to remind the public that this is silly season and they're going to start early. So maybe they'll start now. I was hoping that they would wait till January 2nd because they'd had about 18 months leading up to the next election. But I hope people are paying attention. Our problems is our memories are too short. We're very short-sighted, and we have this microwave mentality. We live for the here and now and forget that we got to eat tomorrow. We're very much living in the here and now, forgetting we have to eat tomorrow. But I think of people like my grandfather, Captain Marvin, and all of those sea captains that fought so much and so hard to get where we got. It was Kenneth himself that got up and said, "Stay over tourism was the bread and butter of this country. Yet we need a port. Yet we need a port." I'm not suggesting that the current port is the best. By no means. We know the inefficiencies of the current port. We absolutely do. It can be enhanced, but we don't need a port. It can be enhanced, but we don't need a port. My father was one of the builders of the current port that we have. When we built that, we thought that was what we were going to need. It's persons like him and the former administration, not the one that just left, the former, that put in our heads that we need this 100,000 population to go where we can barely get around the roundabout. Now, before we started to import all of these people, we can barely get around the roundabout. Yet we bring in more. We're building a port to go where? Where are we going? Who are we building for? Who are we developing for? See? You know what I say? If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. You plan to fail. And I hope that everybody is watching. And for those who aren't registered to vote, get registered. This idea that, I'm not going to register, they're going to just do what they want anyway. Well, you know what? You have a voice. You have a say. You don't vote. Sit down and shut up. Sit down and shut up. Because this is the foolishness that comes down the pipeline every 2 years leading up to the election. It happens. It happens. Everybody comes out of the gate with their promises and what they're going to do, and nothing is achieved. We need 4 more. We need 4 more. You get them in there who've never been here. Well, I didn't realize that this is what it was. What did they think it was? What did they think it was? A degree program? Come on, man. They're running the country to the ground. They're running the country to the ground, and nobody's getting up and saying anything, just watching it pass by, allowing them to do as they please, carte blanche, just have at it with the country's money. This is our money. We're sitting back and talking about, the budget. This is our money.
$500 million on the civil service, child. $500 million, half of the country's budget is going on the civil service.
Well,
and we're going to talk some more about the lack of accountability.
Don't get me started on them, because I dare anybody to just call some of the key government officers in this country. And if you get a response, if somebody even picks up, let me know. I called the government building 3 times yesterday. As far as I remember, they have not 1 but 2 receptionists. I called the DG's office to be able to get through to the registrar of companies. That is a shame. I ain't talking about that. No, we're going to build a port. So what they need to do is improve on what they have. That's what they need to do. World-class civil service, they really don't want my opinion on it. I can promise you that. They don't want my opinion on it. And I am not the only one. I am not the only one. I am the only one that will get up and say something. I am the only one that will get up and call a spade a spade. Everybody, I don't give a biscuit. People will say, they're overworked, they're this, they're that. I get up every day and I have to go to work. And guess what? Sometimes I'll have disgruntled customers. Sometimes I'll have people that have more sensitive needs than others. Sometimes I'll have people that have more immediate needs. The problem with the civil service is complacency. But it comes from the top and it comes from part of the area. I will leave you there.
All right, my dear. Thank you for those comments. 936-2626 is the telephone number. We did have another caller who was calling. My apologies. They called several times, so let me just return their call, and then we've got a WhatsApp call as well. So, we still don't have our toll-free number. Hint, hint. Let me see here. Yes, doing a search. I just realized. Good morning. How are you?
Morning, Sandra. How are you?
My goodness. I'm still coughing, child, but okay. How are you?
All right. Well, flu going around, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, a lot
I
of
hope
people.
you get over it soon.
Thank you, dear.
For sure, Alejandro can make you some good ganja tea. Wait.
Lord have mercy. What's on your mind?
Listen, Sandra, I have a couple. I'd like to give you my perspective as it pertains to the Minister of Tourism's putting this forward at this point in time. The fact of the matter, y'all, is that no, this was not settled, and it wasn't settled because of political expedience of the previous administration and their movements to disallow a legally binding referendum to happen. Now, I'm surmising that the reason we see Kenneth coming forward with this now is because he has handlers and he has interests who are guiding his movements. And they're trying to put a thermometer out there to see if the public's perspective has changed in any way, shape, or form as it pertains to this. I think that is down to it. And then secondly, you also have to understand that with the increase in influence that Makiwa has now gained and the history that is there of him trying to put Kim on bed with the Chinese Road and Belt China Harbor Engineering Company, and everything that involves very unsavory things that involves. It doesn't surprise me that now Kenneth is coming out with this because he has somebody whispering in his ear about it. Now, I understand why people will say, look, we gave our public opinion on this. However, the reality is that we have not had a binding national referendum on it, which is just one of the very few things we have here in Cayman to say a yay or a nay on a particular subject. So, although I know that I have massive suspicions of ulterior motives on the part of our Minister of Tourism, I am actually one of the ones who is going to say, you know what? Let's have that legally binding referendum.
Okay.
And let the chips fall where they may. Let it happen. Let it happen so that we can have the voice of the electorate, the voice of the people be written down. Because Cayman was disallowed that opportunity. Cayman's electorate specifically was disallowed because of political shenanigans to have that legally binding referendum take place. So personally,
you say
regardless
let's do
of
it.
ulterior motives, I say let's do it. Let's do it, and let's see what the people of the country say, and let us put our names down and give that vote.
That's definitely.
What do you think of that?
Yeah, that's definitely an interesting one. That's for sure. Okay. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. So it looks like we
One
need
more thing. Sandra.
Yes, sir.
All right. As it pertains to what you were discussing about the incident where the young boy is trying to beat up the other young boy up there in West Bay. I keep trying to come to this, but I'm going to say it again. You were speaking a little bit earlier about accountability. All right, listen, we have a police service in the Cayman Islands who is not beholden to the well-being and the interests of the Cayman Islands above and beyond and to the explicit exclusion of anyone and everyone else. We have a system of governmental administration which gives members of parliament plausible deniability because of that dichotomy, that break between control of and ownership of policing. All of these issues that we have goes back to a system, Sandra, wherein the Cayman Islands people have no avenue of demanding accountability in regards to law enforcement or the justice system, specifically because of the system which we are subjugated to. If Cayman wants to continue to be subjugated and not look at these root causes, then these issues will continue. But I think people need to gain the courage to look forward and to see. We have to look at a better way forward. And I know that there are massive dangers everywhere lurking when we start to talk about these things. I know we can look around our region and see what has happened in the past. But what we cannot do, Cayman, is we cannot ignore the underlying reasons for the issues that we have. And underlying reason is that we do not have a system in Cayman which allows for people being held accountable. And I'm speaking specifically to law and order and the justice system, but it goes far beyond that. So you have two layers. People complaining to the MPs about the law and order system in Cayman is basically useless, because all that MP is going to say is, look, this is all we do is give them money. We don't control them. And please, people, I mean, we need to look at that reality and figure out a way to evolve where there is more accountability from the outset, from the construct of the contract itself, which does not exist in the Cayman of today.
Okay.
I'll leave that to everybody's thoughts.
Thank you very much, my dear. All right. So it struck me, we're going to go ahead now to a WhatsApp call, but it struck me that perhaps we need to do a poll on the question, do we need a referendum? Caller, good morning.
Good morning, Sandy. Sandra, not Sandy.
Now, you can call me
We call
either
you
one.
Sandy too, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Just
good
one.
morning, everybody. Good
Yes,
morning to
good
listening
morning.
public.
Morning, Minister.
I want to say thank you so much for allowing me on to say a few words about the my current contributions to the Parliament about cruise pairs and a possible referendum. And I say possible because it's still up in the air. It's just a suggestion due to the circumstances. But I'm really happy for the. Hello, you still there?
Oh, yes, I'm here.
Okay, sorry. I'm really happy about the last caller, which took a very pragmatic approach to the truth of what transpired since the former administration brought up the topic of cruise pairs. It is a second pillar of our tourism product, and I'm rather glad to see that the heavy sensitivity is still there in respect to cruise pairs, because people are still alerted by its effects on the Cayman Islands. But it's important to know that, just like how the caller suggested, the matter wasn't resolved. I wish it was. I wish it was rectified by a way of actual people putting their voices to it. Is because it affects a lot of people's lives. And the truth is, as I said in my whole debate, and I encourage everybody to listen to my whole contribution, because it will give you more context of understanding where I was coming from and where my position is still. The numbers for cruise is going to continue to decline over the next few years. As I said in my contribution before, there was, oh my God, seems like somebody's calling me on the phone and my phone won't stop vibrating.
Hit the decline button.
I'm trying to, but it's not popping up. Anyway, I'll live with it. The numbers are going to continue to decline, and there's many Caymanians who depend on this industry to survive. And when you're constitutionally responsible for an area, you have to make sure that you can be held accountable for something that you can do something about. Because I'm certain that if you don't have the power or the control to control the matter, you wouldn't want to be held accountable to it. And I've been saying this for a while, that the numbers are going to continue to decline based on my discussions with the cruise agencies and the truth of the industry with ships getting larger and so forth. Matter of fact, I had to literally beg for another 19 calls just for this year. And the projections are over the next 2 years is that cruise industry as of 2019 is going to probably drop almost to 60%, 50%. And that's a large base for a number of Caymanians. Now, that is the one side of it for those who are affected by it. But this is a democracy, and I still believe that there's a lot of people who have a viewpoint on this that haven't said it. And I think it's important that...
Hello? Oh, I think the connection is dropping there. It is a WhatsApp call. So bear with us. But folks, on your screen, in the meantime, the poll is up. You can go ahead and vote. Sorry, Minister, you had dropped out a little bit there.
Yeah, I was getting a direct call there for a minute. Sorry, because I'm calling you on WhatsApp. I would rather call you straight, but you said to call WhatsApp.
Yes.
Like in every democracy, it's important that we can say, listen, this is not going to happen. The people democratically said 60, 70% said no, they don't want it. But you can never clear up this argument because the referendum never did happen. And I said that in my debate. I said it would have probably been a good idea if we did have it, because this will always be lurking. There's always going to be Caymanians going, Minister, Why are cruise numbers not up? I'm not making the money that I used to make before. Things are hard for me. So there's the other side to this, right? And we as a country have a decision to make, or many people feel that we've made that decision because it was a very strong push out there for not having it. And the circumstances at that time, in my opinion, were with the information that we did know, recognizing there was a lot of thoughts that, the cruise ships would never pass Cayman. But I'm telling you, as your minister,
let me ask you a question, right? And I appreciate exactly what it is that you're saying. You're saying you would like to have a more definitive answer, and you don't feel like you have that. And I get it,
yes.
because on the one hand, one could put forward the argument, and I say this all the time, that what you hear are the voices of the vocal minority and not the silent majority. Having said that, Minister, I remember when I was at the Economic Outlook. I forgot who sponsored that now. But one of the things, this would be when the Caribbean economist, Miss Dukaran, remind me of her first name, Marla Dukaran was there.
Yeah.
And she was talking about how across the region, we collectively are spending maybe the equivalent of billions of dollars collectively on pushing our tourism product. And yet, not a single jurisdiction, including the Cayman Islands, has the concrete numbers to back up and to say, how do we actually benefit from cruise tourism at all, really? Versus benefit, meaning you've got the cost associated with it. So you can say, yes, we've had 1.2 million cruise tourists. That doesn't really translate into benefit. And you can say 1.2 million people coming in Georgetown causes a lot of damage, a lot of infrastructure damage, the ships damage our coral. I mean, she was saying that we need to do a better job of quantifying and qualifying.
Yeah, I agree with that.
What is
whether
the benefit?
We should be in this industry or not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, not even whether or not we should be in the industry, but what is the real benefit from cruise tourism? And let me pause you though, because you actually got up and said to her, how do we do that? Right. And so my thing now is as I'm listening to you, and I appreciate what it is that you're saying, I also then ask the same reflective question that Ms. Dukaran asked at the time. You don't even know the real benefit that we're getting from cruise tourism. So what are you going off of? Because these mega ships are saying, oh, we're not going to be able to come into your port of call. There are people in this country who are saying, we don't want 1 million cruise tourists. They're wreaking havoc on our community, wreaking havoc on our environment.
So if I can just say that, yeah, there are people saying that. But as you just highlighted, the loud minority and potentially the silent majority, and that's all I'm asking for, is a clear understanding. So when we realize years from now that the numbers continue to dwindle, and there's Caymanians who may potentially lose their business or not be able to provide for themselves anymore, that we know that it's a decision by their peers, not a decision by politicians, right? I wish there was a referendum, because I've been saying confidently for the last 2 years, listen, the people don't want it, the people don't want it, the people don't want it. But when I see the reality and the data coming and it's trickling down, when 2 years from now, I say to a taxi driver or a tour operator or a restaurant owner or an attraction, say, listen, go ahead and invest, make more authentic products. They go be like, there's nobody coming. I have to be able to say, listen, this is a decision that we together as a country made, right? Our job as representatives is act on behalf of the people. And I heard the comment earlier to say, we elected you to make the right decision. But this is a major economic decision that will affect people's lives as well as the government's budget. For example, we were talking about the port earlier. A large percentage of money comes into the port through pier costs and fees to each passenger. Let's just say we forget that amount. It's like a little over $7 million every year. Then you have the turtle farm, which is subsidized for many Caymanians to have turtle meat to enjoy as a part of our cultural heritage. I don't eat turtle meat, but I understand that it's a part of who we are and what we grew up with, right? But without cruise passengers for that, and if their numbers drop by another let's say hypothetically in 5 years, 50%, we're constantly subsidizing that to the millions of dollars, over $6 million per year. And we're just talking about how much money would be lost potentially if we're not in this industry. And it's fine. We can make that decision. I just think it's important that the country can definitively say the people spoke. Now, the people did speak, and I was really proud of us to participate in a people's initiated referendum. And the caller was right. The referendum was never issued, and it should have been issued, because this wouldn't have been an argument today. So when I get up as minister, I can say, listen, we're getting dwindling numbers. We're going to try different things, different sources and diversification of our economy. We're going to encourage those Caymanians who are in this industry. Please be mindful. This is going to continue to decline. So maybe you want to transition into something else. That's what we need to do. But if it's like making a decision without true input. And listen, the people can come back and simply say 80% of us say no, and the other 20% who live by it. Unfortunately, that's how democracy works, right? So I'm not suggesting that we have the bill of cruise spare. I'm suggesting that the circumstances are what they are today. We have some more information today for us to understand and make a decision on. There's some people who have said to me recently that, well, I was against the port before myself. And I really didn't believe that the cruise numbers would go down because Cayman's location in the Caribbean, the fact of our notoriety and the Cayman Islands being what it is, one of the best places in the world. But when it comes down to money in business, big corporations are going to make decisions. And again, we don't have to have that.
And also, let me ask you a real question here. You're saying that the cruise numbers are going down. Now, I'm certainly no tourism expert. But the first question I would ask is why? Because there seems to be an assumption that it's happening because we don't have the capacity to take on a mega ship. I actually, just after reading for 5 minutes, can tell you that has nothing to do with it. We do have another caller, and I'm going to bring up some of those points in a second. But we do have another call on the line. Caller, good morning.
Hello, good morning. Me again. I'm going to identify myself now because I have no problem. And Kenneth, thank you for joining. Again,
no problem.
I'm going to wholly disagree with you. My name is Siobhan Hyde. My grandfather is Captain Dallas C. Banks, one of the founders of Stingray City. I come from a long line of sea captains. Long line. I know this water as good as anybody out there. And let me be very clear. The problem isn't the need for a port. The problem isn't the need to bring in mega ships. The problem is improving the current product that we offer. Do you know what the average spend of a cruise tourism passenger is? Do you know what that average spend is? Nobody seems
Minister?
to know. Currently,
yeah, I'm here.
I think that was a question for you. She was asking if you knew what the average spend was for cruise tourists.
I think it's just under $100 US at this particular point. I can't tell you what the updated number.
So we ran the Georgetown port full of 8 vessels, 8 ships, 8 mega ships, plug it up with $60,000 for $100 per person. On average, by the way, that's average, and we know how that works mathematically. I can speak specifically to this. My mother, my entire family, I am probably myself and a handful of us are the only ones in our family who happen to not work in tourism, who work in financial services. Oddly enough, I happen to work directly with vessels. Oddly enough, I know what people want. I know what people need. How about you give a call to Captain Dallas C. Banks? How about you actually give a call to the boat captain and ask them currently, how do they currently benefit from the ships that we're getting now without a port? You know what they'll tell you? A Stingray City tour that's selling on board the cruise ship for $160, they're getting about $12 US per head. How about you start there? How about you look at that? How about not getting a port? How about improving what we currently get? Wishes?
Well, I mean,
Kisses do by favors. How about improving that? How about ensuring that we're actually getting a fair share of what we've created? We allow these ships to come in and we allow them to walk away with mere 100% of the sale of a tour. That's outrageous. And then we're going to talk about people need to switch to different sectors of work. People don't need to switch. We need to quantify what we actually have whether we want quality or quantity. You ran that port full with 8, 10 million people if you want. If a person can't get into a store to buy something, then guess what? It's just another ship out there. 10,000 people clogging up Georgetown, more than it's already clogged up. People trying to traverse. You'll have a stampede on your hand out there one of these days. Like I said, how about going down to the yacht club one of these days? Talk to any of those boat captains out there and ask them. That's where most of these tours are coming from. Ask them, how much money per head are you currently earning without the port? Because I can promise you, once the port is in, it's going to be less. It's going to be less because somebody's got to pay the piper. Somebody's got to pay the piper. They're getting on average $12 per person to sing. That is less than when I was helping my grandfather book when I was 15. I'm 36.
Okay. Sandra,
all right,
you want me to
callers?
answer or try to respond to any of that? Or
caller, we do have some other callers as well. Thank you for those comments.
okay, so just my response to that is, by all means, nobody is suggesting that we have to have a port. Again, I think maybe I've not expressed myself as clearly as I should or in the best way, but basically I'm saying that you need a clear direction as to the fact that we don't need one. Mm-hmm. I don't think that has been answered because when the negatives of not having a pier come to light, mm-hmm. If they do, I mean, it's for me as minister and the government together collectively to maintain under the model that we currently have if the people's belief is that we shouldn't have a pier. So I have to continue to fight and say, cruise lines, we don't want a pier, but we still want to encourage you to come. Me as minister have to figure out a way to get the operators to work together so they can stick to a pricing model where they can actually make more money for it. Because a lot of the reasons why they don't get as great value for the customers is because they underbid each other. I've been trying to work on that, but you're going against principal business of trying to make the best for yourself. Competition is what it is, and you try to tell a person stick to this price, then the other person come and undercut them. I mean, I agree with what she says. We don't get as great value as we used to because the Caymanian way isn't as good as it used to be. Mm-hmm. We used to respect each other. We have a totally different culture now where it's you cut down each other. I don't care what the other person doing. You know, I need to make more money to the point where probably cut off your nose to spite your face. So it is hard to rectify that unless you get into a point of dictating to them that they cannot operate. And then you get into the free market argument. So it's a very complicated one. So I agree. Mm-hmm. She has some points there. With the current model, even if we go down to 50%, we could get more money for more value per passenger by being better organized. But that's not the question I'm asking. I'm saying because if some negatives do come 5 years from now, maybe whether I'm minister or not minister, maybe I may have gone on outside of politics, depending on the good people of Georgetown Central. I want to be able to say I did what was right by explaining to them the realities of it. And if we make a decision together, we all make the decision together as a society and through a democratic process. I really, really wish they did the referendum because I don't want to come as minister and say, listen, things are going to look bad coming up. Because the first thing I'm going to say is, oh, look at the Minister of Tourism. He can't even get the cruise numbers in. When the reality is I sit and look at the CEOs, each and every one of them saying, come on, you know, this is good for your customers. The millennials like the fact that, you know, we're being environmentally conscious. And they'll simply say to you, listen, we need to make money. Many of our customers don't like coming off the ship. We have insurance risk concerns about our mega ships. Where the ability to come off of a tender isn't as safe as it would be for the regular ships. So there's a number of factors, and I don't want to be here to argue for them, you know. That's not my place. That's not my place. The industry knows, those who are for cruise and those who are against cruise know the difference between the two. Are there environmental concerns? Yes, they are. Are there engineering concerns? Yes, they are. Do we have to have something appear in Georgetown? I don't think we have to have it there because, matter of fact, this is the elephant in the room that came up. I did not support the pier being built in Georgetown. And the reason for that, because I didn't think that you could handle that amount of work with a cargo ship downtown. Now, I had genuine concerns also about 7 Mile Beach, but that doesn't mean they couldn't be considered somewhere else if the people want it. It's about the economic modeling of cruise passengers that is in question here. Do we want that type of industry? Because we have stayover and we got cruise. Some people are not in cruise at all. There's some Caribbean islands that only deal with stayover, period. But we can't ignore the fact that there's hundreds, if not thousands of Caymanians who are in this industry. And they will hold me and the government and the next government and every other government to say, why are you not creating an economy for me to survive in? That's all I'm saying. I want to be able to answer back by saying, your peers equal to you have said this is not the kind of economy that they want. That's all I'm saying. Right.
Okay,
So
we have a
by
couple
all means,
callers on the line,
okay,
if you don't
so
mind.
I'll hold.
All right. So the first caller up, your number ending in 1145. Good morning, caller.
Yes, good morning, panel. Good morning.
Mm-hmm.
So this is
Good morning, sir.
here. Yes, I would like to chime in a little bit. Okay, first of all, I want to say to the last caller, I agree that a lot of things that on a lot of things that she did say.
Mm-hmm.
I think people need to get involved in the situations. Speak to people in those prospective fields. But also, I want to commend Mr. Bryan.
Mm-hmm.
I think more ministers should do what he's doing.
Mm-hmm.
I know this is going to sound strange, but I think in many ways it's easier to be a politician in Cayman. It's only when you go against the grain of your people that you create waves. Especially how it's designed now, it's easier for you to please your consistent constituencies just by seeing what they agree with you on.
Mm-hmm.
Personally, if I was a politician, that would be my route. I would do exactly what he's doing this morning.
Which is you're saying the referendum, just to be clear.
It's to do a referendum or simply get the vibes of the people.
Mm-hmm.
The problem you have with the politicians when you go against what people want.
Yeah. But I mean, the point that we were making is, does he actually need to do a referendum to know the vibes of the people? Is that we don't want a port in Georgetown Central? That was the question. That's how we started off this conversation. I thought the message was loud and clear.
I apologize.
No, that's okay.
I apologize.
As a matter of fact, caller, let me say this. You know how loud and clear I thought the message was? When I was reading the comments on our story on social media, there were people actually asking, didn't we have a referendum on this? And I was shocked, actually, because I'm like, Jesus, our people are really not paying attention? But they were so convinced that this had been settled that they thought we had a referendum. I was like, no, we haven't.
No, but don't know referendum.
To be honest with you, I don't think. To be honest with you, I don't think it should be built in town. I think we've done a lot of things as first in this country, and I think I think we need something, but it doesn't have to be there because, to my knowledge, we're the only port that can't operate in the daytime. That is insane.
Exactly.
You know, so although I missed that part of the show, I do agree it should be built somehow, but not in town.
Mm-hmm.
It's either that or you move your cargo. It's one or the other. I mean, most people how they cruise ports in town, but like many other things, we've done things hasty and we've built the cargo port in the wrong way. But once again, I just want to say, at least when it comes to major projects in this country, people should always get the feel of their people. And I think most people would agree they shouldn't be built in town.
Mm.
I still want to say at least he's throwing it out there.
Mm-hmm.
And any other politician in the future that do what he's doing now is to be commended, because it's not just showing that you're just going against the green, against the people's wishes, because often that's the case, and we know why. Mm-hmm. Because we know anything government bill, it doesn't cost what it costs. The unborn children know that it doesn't cost what it costs. And you know how that story ends. But often it's a projects are being pushed because of monetary gain. But anyway, thank you, Mr. Bryan, for doing what you're doing. I would be interested in taking part of the poll if that goes through.
Well, I mean, we got a poll, but an actual referendum, everybody who's a registered voter can certainly take advantage of that.
Well, Sandra, if I may, I just want to say to the caller, thank you so much. I really appreciate his pragmatic viewpoint on it. And that's all I'm asking the public to do. By all means, we don't have to have support. All I'm saying is the people have to have their say, because we didn't get that chance. And the truth is, I know some people will say, well, why are we spending money on a referendum? That's why I suggested it in the election, because it wouldn't cost much more to just add another voting booth for you to, after you've selected your representative, to step over to another booth and say, no, I don't want a port, or yes, I want a port. Mm-hmm. Whichever one, the people's job, the representatives that you select, their job is to listen to you. Now, I want to highlight this. I know you have another call and I want to listen. I want to stay on the show, right? But let me just say this. A people's initiated referendum is by a certain percentage. And if my memory serves me, I could be wrong. I think it's 25%. Now, 25% isn't 75%. Now, I don't want to assume that the other 75% is in favor because they didn't sign the petition for a referendum. But I want clear direction. I think any representative, forget if I was the minister or not, I would want to send that clear direction on something as severe as this that can have negative effects on the environment, or have positive effects or negative effects on your economy and your ability to survive. Okay. So let's give a clear understanding. That's all I'm saying, because it's not going to take one penny away from us or any more extra time other than probably about 3 or 4 minutes when you go to the polls to select your next set of representatives. That's all I'm suggesting. Sorry, go ahead.
All right, so we've got 2 callers on the line. So the next caller up was, let me see here now, 5501. Good morning, caller.
Hello, good morning again, Sandra.
Morning.
Good morning, Kenneth. How are you today? This is Jonathan Adam talking to you.
Hey, Mr. Adams. Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, Bob. Good morning. Kenneth.
My apologies. Looks like somehow I've
This is where her opinion and her outlook and her perspective needs to be observed. And that is, when you have people who are working within the industry, and as she said, $12 per client, you cannot blame all of that, Kenneth, on people undercutting each other. The real issue is the cruise lines themselves and whoever they are in collusion with in Cayman not giving the operators themselves their fair share of the price. Now, that is a connected, but it is a different question as to the port itself. But it does
agreed
speak to this reality.
Agreed.
Cayman's economy for. And that is the underlying issue that needs to be addressed. It's not going to be solved by having a referendum just on its own. But I think you need to really take a listen to what that young lady said, because the actual work as it pertains to Caymanians, the tourism industry, the stakeholdership has been eroded away. You have people making comments, and I know it for a fact to be true, where the Caymanian operators are getting shut out and are not being treated fairly, in order for others to come in and make a lot of money off of this industry, which Caymanians themselves invented. Okay, and
I would agree with you there, sir.
Cannot be steered away from simply by saying, man, that it is Caymanians undercutting each other, because that may happen, absolutely, but that is not the core root of the issue, Kenneth. The core root of the issue is that you need to ask the question, who is this economy really for?
Well,
right.
I no doubt I agree with you there, caller.
Yes.
Huh?
Thank you, caller.
Well, listen to you, Kenneth. Go on.
Okay, I was just saying I agree with you. I think I need to do a better job. We need to do a better job on working together to make sure that Caymanians are the beneficiaries of this. But when I think about your response, sometimes the first thing that comes to my mind is, hold on, the businesses that are owned here, they're not independently owned by somebody who is not Caymanian. There's 99% of the time, unless it's an LCCL, a Caymanian is involved. They may not be directly involved in the operations, but they're one of the owners, silent owners, who are making the profits off of it, right? So you may see from the outside.
You know the bunch of hugger that goes on with all of that. You know that we have
Yeah.
You know that we have X, Y, and Z. We know these realities, man. So let's not use that as a way to move away from this real issue which exists, which is the disavowalment of true stakeholdership of the Cayman Islands tourism product. That is what this is boiling down to, man. I mean, we can talk about quality over quantity. Well, let's look at the past, Kenneth. Let's look at the past when Cayman's tourism industry was our bread and butter. We didn't have people coming in who were extremely rich and supporting Cayman. No, we had people of the middle class. When I worked in water sports industry, there were people of the middle class. A lot of them came from the Midwestern United States. And we had relationships with these people where they would come in year after year after year. There were friendships formed. And those people who helped to create what the Cayman Islands tourism industry was, unfortunately, those people were told, well, you're not rich enough for us. You're not exclusive enough for us. No, man, that is not the problem at hand here. The problem is that greed etched its way into what was a viable economy in Cayman. Now, there were always issues. There are environmental issues. Like, I would like to know how many loads of tourists dung goes into the North Sound, right? You can look at that. If you want to talk about being green about it, well, that's a whole nother subject.
We do have another caller.
That creates disease in coral.
I think they hung up on us. So no. I said we actually had another caller that was waiting, but let's be mindful when we have other callers waiting as well.
Sure, no problem.
Okay, there. Thank you.
Just before you go to the other caller, I keep on being interrupted by phone calls coming because it's a WhatsApp call, but I just want to say thank you so much to Mr. Adam. He made some very valid points that besides the cruise peer discussion, there's a lot more things we have to do internally with the stakeholders who are currently in the model that we do have, which is by tendering. So I agree with him and I thank him so much for that. And I'll work harder, trying to resolve that and make more market share go into their pockets. But I will be willing to listen to the next caller.
All right. I think they actually hung up. So we'll ask them to give us a call back, 936-2626. Let's read some of the comments that are coming in. And by the way, Kenneth, let me read this one for you. Someone said that they wanted to thank you for, let me see, where did I put that one? Hold on one second. I did start. All right. So Ron says, I really appreciate that the Honorable Kenneth listens and calls in, even when things are controversial. Wish more ministers did that. We're going to, Ron, stay tuned. Almost 500 people on the live stream. We're going to talk about why. So somebody else just read my mind, because we're going to talk about why we can't expect many more ministers to do that, because this government, under their leadership, and if they're all being bound by collective responsibility, they have taken an approach that they are with Radio Cayman 100%. That's their favorite radio station, and they're going to be giving them more money. So we'll talk about that, Ron. So stay tuned. Somebody says, why don't you have Kenneth call in? Via the show link. He can, but I mean, I think people might still enter. Oh yes, Kenneth. Honorable Minister Brian, my apologies. Would you like us to
Kenneth
give you
is fine, Sandra.
Would you like us to give you the show link so that you don't keep getting the call interruptions? I'm not sure.
You mean a direct telephone number?
No, I'm actually in the studio, but if you're still getting calls, I think
it's still gonna happen. The only way would be a direct phone. I tell you what, though, if you make me call you via WhatsApp on my other number that doesn't get as much phone calls, it's my actually government number, but nobody calls me on that because I kept my personal number. I'm one of those politicians who never got rid of their phone number, so everybody continues to call.
That's perfectly fine. It's just that on the regular line, as you can see, multiple callers are calling in and some are getting dropped. And so I didn't want to have you on that line and then have you drop out. But yes, if you call back on WhatsApp, that's kind of like a dedicated line. And while you do that, then I'll read some comments as well.
Okay, I'll do that. I'll call back now.
Okay, thanks.
Just so you know, I'm not afraid to let my number out. So I'll tell you what my number is just so you can answer it when it calls in. It is 916-3009. That's 916-3009. So when you see that number, call. Answer, please.
Yeah, you're probably the only person calling on WhatsApp, so don't worry.
All right, thanks. Bye.
All right, caller, good morning. Welcome to the program. Hello?
Yeah, good morning.
Hi, morning. Sandra. Morning there.
Yeah. I was just recently chimed in. We listened to some of the comments that you had there. Very interesting. Very interesting. I wanted to ask, when we're thinking about these mega ships, totally increasing the numbers of people doesn't really make sense. I think Ms. Siobhan clearly explained the whole financial reality behind everything, and she's 1,000% right. But if these big conglomerates, the Pirates of the Caribbean, which is the cruise ship industry, right, wants to reapproach us about providing a port, why don't they start, just as Siobhan indicated, start by restructuring the price that the local vendors would get from each cruise ship passenger? Because really and truly, the only benefit is to the cruise ship industry. I mean, you gotta oversaturate Stingray City, which can only hold so much people. Wherever you go, Turtle Farm, wherever you go oversaturate the place just to make a half of a day's pay. When you the vendor is the one who's giving the true experience. When you the vendor is the one who has the mortgage and the overheads to conduct a business, and you don't even break even with that kind of revenue coming to you, that is not even a good tip. Much less of $12 a head to carry to a unique place like Stingray City, to have an outdoors experience like Stingray City. Come on, let's stop and let that sink a little bit in your head. For $12 US, come on, man. I know people here are on drugs, but not everybody. I guess I'll give you a little scenario. Why I told the cruise ship industry, they were chasing me up and down for about 3 years, wanting to do business with me. And I came up with something really quick for them. I said, look, when you're serious about talking finance with me, then we can talk. Because in my world, in business, my business world, if it do make dollars, it do make sense. So they're telling me that they can give me 1,000 people. I said, why would you want to give me 1,000 people? Why would I want 1,000 people from you to make the same thing or less that I make from 100 people on my own? Why would I want it? It doesn't equate to any sense. You see, really, we're a stop in their destination. So they'll plug in anything and they'll hoodwink the minister, they'll hoodwink anybody to try to have their way. They're just bullies. They're just bullies. But I don't see us making any sense of destroying our environment, overcrowding our street. Like was also said by Jonathan and Siobhan, when the stores are crowded, no one wants to go in there and buy anything. You can't get in there to buy anything. So I want to really know, who are these people that are crying to the minister, to saying that they're going to go out of business if we don't get more people on the ground? We have millions of people go across here every year. They must be making something out of it. So who are these people? I don't think we need to fall for that. But my true advice to the minister would be this: Minister,
yes, sir.
You're in the tourism. Good morning. You're in the tourism industry, my friend. You're in the tourism industry, and I like you. You got a lot of drive. Some of your ways are like my ways in a sense. Not all of them, but some of them. You got a lot of drive. Search for people who can truly advise you in this industry and truly help you advance with your efforts. Don't go by any Johnny come latelys or those who haven't experienced the tourism product for themselves as in terms of being a business person in tourism or generationally involved in tourism. You go to those people who have a deep insight on what tourism really is, who help made it, and who helped uh, sustained it for years, and who's directly there in the tourism market, not those who are greedy and don't give two hoots about Cayman, using Cayman as a cash cow, that sort of stuff. Don't you go by
Mhm.
that. You have a
On-
true evaluation, but I want to ask you point blank. Do you think we need greater numbers in tourism? Do you think we need a mega ship port here, a port to accommodate mega ships here?
well, I personally think that it'd be more efficient. It will allow us to be able to get people in and off the boat a lot faster. I don't think it should be in town. That's my personal opinion, right?
Mhm.
I don't think we can handle it in town. You're right about the traffic component, but this goes back to the argument about the port with population at risk in the next 8 years now that we're not going to be able to import any more goods because the port is going to be inefficient. So there's going to be a point where we're going to get to, regardless if I'm around or not, where we're going to have to consider creating a docking facility. I'll say docking facility, whether it's piers or cargo. It doesn't have to be pairs. The people can speak, and I respect the people's viewpoint when they speak, and that's why I would like that clear direction. But my point is, it's not about increasing the numbers. It's about, at the very least, maintaining what we have. Because what I brought up in Parliament was the projections of decline. So I'm not talking about today. Now, today things may be fine. People can make enough money off of it, and we can do better by, negotiating better pricing that we can make more off of what we currently have. Because I agree with you, we're overstretching our environment. I am really worried about what's happening to Stingray City. But what we need to do is create more attractions so they don't all have to go to Stingray City. And that's why you hear me talk about authentic options and places to go to. But my point is it's about maintaining the model that we have. So for example, if a boat operator says, based on the numbers I'm getting, I operate and I bought into 6 boats. I heard people saying, boy, during the pandemic, I got 6 boats home and I need to get enough money to maintain them and keep them alive so when the cruise part come back. So if somebody has an operation of 6 boats, a West Bay, family business, if the business continues to decline, their operations and the money that they've invested are going to be affected. So it's not about increasing. I don't think we need to increase. I think the amount of passengers we're getting now is a decent amount to give quality service. But that number is going to decline. That's what I'm worried about. So the referendum would say to me, in my humble opinion, if the people say, no, we don't want pairs, when it starts to decline, the people can make justified decisions to say, listen, my peers said to me they don't want us to go in this business. The business industry has said, listen, we're going to decline our numbers and you can alter your business investments and your operation to reflect what's going to happen. If I don't warn you about that, I'll be irresponsible of my duties as the Minister for Tourism. Because all I'm saying is
So
the numbers are going to continue to decline. That's what I'm saying. Sorry, go
So
ahead.
quite right. You're giving a forecast of your projections of what you see happening, and that's
Yes.
quite commendable that you would give your constituents and the wider public, that perspective. I totally concur and agree with that. Um, what what in my estimation is though the total decline in Caymanian businesses here is too much foreign investment. Outsiders have too many boats. They have too much big finance behind them, and they're outnumbering the locals who have mortgages and stuff on their vessels. So that's where the cutthroat business is starting to come in. But the real beneficiaries of that is the cruise ship industry. They pit vendors against vendors, but yet on board they sell and increase their price for your services that you give on island, and they find like taking blood or pulling teeth from you if you ask them for a penny more. Here's what I would say to you, Minister. In your negotiations with the cruise ship industry, you have to control the narrative. Remember this, you have to control the narrative. You're not there to negotiate what's the best price they can give you. Remember, you're dealing with pirates, so they're not gonna give you no best price for you. They're getting the best price for them. You have to look and talk with the vendors, the boaters, the horseback operators, the wave runners, the four-wheelers, all the tourism stakeholders. You have to talk with them on a one-to-one basis and get a deep insight from them what it would take for them to sustain their businesses, what kind of numbers they need, what was the financial objective for the year that they need to have to be able to stay alive. That's the first place I would start, right? And then when you go back and negotiate with the cruise lines, here is the minimum price that our vendors are going to get, the minimum price that we're going to get. You add what you want for your finder's fee on top of that if you so desire. But you can offload tourists here in Cayman and get nothing less. So, our vendors can get nothing less than this.
Paul, I want to ask you a quick question. I just want to ask you a quick question before you go off. First off, I don't negotiate with the cruise lines. That's not my role. My role is to encourage them to continue coming to Cayman. So there's no negotiations. I don't want people thinking that I'm in the back room with CEOs and stuff. I know that's not your intention, but it's important I clear it up. I am a politician, and people get misconceptions. So that's one thing. The second point was, all right, go ahead. You go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Okay. So my point was going to ask you was that, do you think that government's role is to dictate the prices of products, whether it's, a horseback ride or a trip to Stingray City? Do you think the government should have a role by saying to the cruise lines or get involved in business to dictate pricing? Because that's not the free market model. Now, it is a way to solve some of the problems by controlling the pricing, but that goes against the principles of free market. Because ultimately, I agree with you. I think that there has to be better negotiations, but normally negotiations are done by each sector with the cruise lines, and that inability to be strong enough against the cruise lines and to be bidding against one another has caused the problem why we feel that we're not getting enough. And yes, there's outside forces they're undermining many of our generational Caymanian business operations. And they're not getting as much as the market share. So I get where you're coming from, but do you think the government should get into controlling component?
Yeah, the government should get into it from this perspective. They should set out clear guidelines of what it takes. So, knowing what it takes to live here, they should set a clear guideline on what's expected. You can't definitely dictate in a free market your price structure, but I know for certain that the cruise ships, they will give you bare minimum and they get the maximum on their end. So where's the benefit for us then? Where are we so gung-ho about having a port to get the bare minimum? Where are we going to get the scraps for? Where are we going to get the leavings for? Where are we going to get the unwanted part for? And we having all the...
I think I'm... Oh, gosh. I think I have...
Good morning.
I think I've accidentally hung up on that last caller trying to join a call. Morning, caller.
Good morning.
Morning.
To everyone. Honorable Kenneth, good morning.
Morning.
Morning, ma'am.
I have been on cruises that we were not able to purchase anything like the tours on the cruise ship in some of the islands. And they said that was control and we would have to purchase it when we got actually on the pier. So that meant that whoever it was fighting for their people, that they were not allowed to do it. And guess what? The ship was still going there. And we were able to purchase when we got there. I think it was like $70, $60 a head for the tour. Now, that means the government had to negotiate with whoever, with the people, and they're still going there. We have such a beautiful island, one that people wants to come. I meet people and the first thing they say, can I be your friend? I want to visit. They're not asking to stay with me. They just wants to know which hotel, want direction, and this is it. When you get overcrowded, I don't even get off the ship. Sometimes I'm getting off, and when I'm on a gangway, and it's 7, 8 ships and these big ships and all the confusion, I go back and board. I'm sure I'm not the only person that do that. So sometimes more people doesn't necessarily mean it's better. Sometimes you lose because when you got a minimal amount of people and the people goes, you get off. You want to go to enjoy. You want to go to see. You don't want to go. You're bucking up. You can't even get into the souvenir stores, and you just, so you don't go. And when I refer somewhere to people, I'm going to say, well, I've been to so and so, and I never enjoyed it. I didn't even get off because it was just so much confusion. Right there, that's we lost a next tourist. So everything is not good. I think sometimes we have to sell yourself for what you are. And we are unique. People goes to, like, especially to the islands, to look for friendliness, differentness from what they see every day. They're running from the US where the people is walking on you, licking you down. A lot of time they go on vacation for a different mood. Yeah. And maybe should source the ones that have these unique ships and, people that want to spend and so forth, and hook up with those that they said, this is a unique destination, So we have to sell ourselves, and not for somebody to sell us. Because when our people is getting $12 an hour and they got to sit in that traffic, they got to buy gas, and they got to maintain their vehicles, they got their mortgages, they got insurance and all of it. What does it profit them? I would even go, because I'm sure that I could go.
Yes, thank you so much.
Go make it somewhere else. So, we got to look out for our people. Our people. That's who it is we got to look out for. And thank you for coming on this show. This is great to see that you come on and you're handling the heat regardless of what it is. Appreciate you.
Thank you so much.
Have a good day.
And I must say, my apologies, folks. I must say, Minister, I don't know if it's just a topic or if people actually missed you, but the response this morning, we have a lot of calls and a lot of comments. In fact, my apologies to the social media comments. I've not been able to get to most of them. I do have them coming up on the screen, but unfortunately the calls are just really heavy today. So we prioritize callers. And speaking of callers, we do have another one on the line as well. Good morning, caller. Welcome to the program.
Good morning.
Morning.
I think it's both. We do miss Brian on the show, and it's the topic as well.
All right.
I hear what is being said about that the public have spoken, but there's a real important distinction between a petition and a referendum. And the petition, while it speaks loudly, it doesn't give a definitive answer. And
correct.
I like things to be clear. Ambiguity is one of my worst enemies. And so I would like clarity, but I'd also like clarity on the issue of cannabis as well. Because I don't like what Dr. Lee 2.0 is doing at the moment in relation to that letter that he wrote saying that he could make rules. And that's unlawful because only cabinet can make regulations. No one person, not even you as a minister, can write a letter and have it apply to the entire country as if it's law. You can't do it. Dr. Lee 2.0 can't do it. And you all shouldn't be allowing him to do it. It's unlawful. But on the issue of this, the thing about pricing, government in many cases can't even beat themselves out of a wet paper bag. I don't want government being the decider of more and more things to do with my life. I don't want price control. Not because I don't want things to be reasonable. Okay? But there is a real serious danger with saying that what we're going to do is we're going to allow government to control prices. Government doesn't understand all of the elements of every business. Okay?
Yeah.
And that's a very dangerous thing to do.
And in most instances, Denny, less government interference is better. So even when we ask for consumer protection, I'm always very, very cautious about what we ask for.
Right.
All right.
And none of those types of decisions should be made without proper discussion in which we actually talk about the issues instead of just throwing slurs that are going past each other and we're not really having a proper conversation. That's very dangerous.
All right.
Anyway,
we do have other
you.
callers.
Bye.
Thank you so much. Good morning, caller. Welcome to the program. And please remember, folks, if you're calling the show line, obviously you can call free on WhatsApp. That's fine. But I can't take a WhatsApp call and a straight line call at the same time. I can't even put a WhatsApp call on hold. So if you're calling on WhatsApp and you realize that I'm not answering, it's because I can't answer both at the same time. Morning, caller.
Hello?
Hello, sir. Good morning.
Hello?
Yes, good morning.
Auntie Sandy, it's Johan. How you doing?
Hey, Johan. Morning. How are you?
Is the minister still on?
Oh, yes. He's got
Morning,
time
Johan.
for us
How are you
today.
doing?
He has time for us today,
Morning,
honey
Minister.
child.
Morning, Minister. Just calling. I'll be very, very brief.
Okay. Oh, your hand's being brief this morning.
No. And it's a positive message because
yes,
the courage that it takes for any minister of the current administration to call into this platform.
Oh, we encourage it though.
Public. No, you encourage it, but
yes,
you do. But what I'm saying is, it would appear that the preferred platform is the national radio station.
Well, that's not an appearance. That's what it is. But go on. We'll talk about that later.
But I was calling in to say, I think this is what separates Minister Bryant in large part from some of his colleagues, whereby he's prepared to address the public anytime, any place, anywhere, even if it means coming on to CMR and dealing with the CMR mafia. We don't have to agree on everything, but it takes a lot of courage and I think it represents real leadership for you to face the people where they're at, because it's easy to go on any other platform where nobody's present, but it's a completely different thing to dive into the water to swim with sharks, especially where this is an unconventional sort of show where people really, really let their feelings be known and their emotions hang out. And I just wanted to say to the Minister Brian, as a Caymanian, as a voter, as a citizen, sir, I thank you for having the courage and the understanding that you gotta meet the people where they're at, and obviously they're here. A referendum, I think you made the point earlier. It's about having a definitive sort of answer. I was involved with the campaign for the Caymans First People's Initiated referendum. I don't think what you're asking is impossible or difficult, but I think data that we have demonstrates that we have a fair idea of what the outcome would be. But your request is not unreasonable. But be that as it may, Minister Brian, thank you for having the political sense and strength and courage to come in and engage us here where we are every day. So best of luck to you. Best of luck to the government. And Auntie Sandy, thank you so much for accommodating the minister and any of his other colleagues when they call in, because not everybody gets the same ability to express themselves, their opinions and their views on Radio Cayman. Here, we might not always agree, but at least we get to say what we want until you cut us off. All right? Take care.
No more brownies, Johan. No more brownies. Until we threaten, no more brownies. All right,
keep your dry up brownies.
Appreciate it. Oh my gosh. You know what, folks, we have a different vibe over here. We're all Caymanians and we don't always have to agree. And sometimes, we're on opposite sides of a discussion, but we try to keep it respectful as much as we possibly can. And like Johan said, anybody can call in and share your opinion. Now, I know that one caller, I think that I accidentally cut off. My apologies. I didn't realize the next call that was calling in was actually a straight line call, and that's what happens. Straight line calls and WhatsApp calls don't exactly mix. So do feel free to call us back, 936-2626. Now, Minister, of course, we didn't really plan to have this lengthy discussion on this topic today, but hey, we also are very much, we believe here on the Cold Hard Truth, go with what the people want. The people are speaking very, very loudly this morning that they want to have this discussion. You obviously have made yourself available to us, and we appreciate that. So let's grab a few more comments online. Miss Stephanie says, let me back up here. Blair says, stayovers help us the most. This island is over the cruise bosses. Been there, done that. Stephanie says, oh, right. Pat says, we want evidence-based decisions. Where's the data to support your decisions? Stephanie says, that's right, Pat. If it can't be measured, it cannot produce validity. Alejandro says, we need more ministers like Kenneth to engage like this. Unlike Panton decided not to continue to have dialogue with the people. Well, Alejandro, I don't think that is true, first of all. He's obviously under the weather at the moment, but I believe that he fully intends to continue, although he's not premier anymore, coming on this platform and engaging with the people. So I think what was happening, and you have misinterpreted what was happening, in addition to his, what was his segment called again? Premier Access. He was also doing focused questions on focused topics, right? That were pre-recorded. So we only got to do 2. And you have to understand that the government was in the middle of trying to get a budget done. So time was really, really tight. But he did one on stamp duty. So it was just like basically it's like a 10-minute conversation. And I think that segment was called Spotlight, where he's just answering specific questions about stamp duty. And the one he did prior to that was a question, answering the question whether or not the people of the Cayman Islands, well, not the government, my apologies, was broke. Like, what was the fiscal position? So he only had an opportunity to do 2 of those. I just want to clarify this because, Alejandro, you've actually said this more than once now. And I don't want people to get the wrong impression because I think you're actually misunderstanding. He was still committed to Premier Access. It's just that time was just not, permitting, basically, is what happened. And then he was also committing to taking on doing this additional one called Spotlight. Caller, good morning. Welcome. Hello, caller.
Good morning.
Hi.
Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, morning again.
Morning.
I think we got cut off early on. Kenneth.
Yes, sir. Good morning. Yes, sir.
Morning, Kenneth. Kenneth, I want to commend you.
Morning.
As well. A true leader does what a true leader has to do. And, you need to stand up and hear what your people are saying. And I commend you for the position you're taking this morning. Anyway, going forward, I did hear you say you don't think that the port should be in Georgetown. If there was a port to be built, where would you think that we should put a port?
Well, I don't have any preconceived places. I just think that because of the way we grew over time, that Georgetown has not been planned appropriately for that level of growth. So I just find it hard that because what we'll be forced to do is, hypothetically speaking, we have a referendum, the people say no, they don't want to pair, then we're sticking to the model that we have where they tender there. And if we grow our operations port-wise, you're still sharing an industrial area with cruise passengers. I think there's an insurance risk to that and concern that isn't good for either industry, either the industrial component or the cruise side. So anywhere outside of town, I think is necessary, which begs the question, and this is one of the things I want many of my people who believe in protecting the environment and the marine life to help guide me on this, right? Because I think it's inevitable, whether it's 10, 20 years from now, we're going to have to upgrade our cargo facilities. Forget cruise. Let's say we were never in cruise. We have to upgrade our cargo facilities. And there may be some level of sacrifice, because even if you move a tree, that's a sacrifice from the environmental component. And we need to. I want to know what the appetite of the people is, because we have to consider it. And if it was up to me, I would probably try to put it more center of the country so we can have a better growth policy. Because the reason why we're dealing with so many of the congestion problems now is that we've forever been developing on the western side of the island. I remember when we had the Go East initiative, and I really wish that we can get back to that, because I think the best way to deal with the traffic component is don't make 80% of the country come to the western side of the island every morning. If we had, if we, sorry, go ahead.
Even into Georgetown.
Or even to, yeah, exactly, or even into Georgetown.
I agree with that concept, but it's a concept similar to what I have had for many years now. What I would suggest, right, here's how I see in a positive way that we can increase our tourism numbers and also benefit the Cayman Islands, right? Is that enhance the sports pier and look for two other strategic locations going east, maybe in Breakers or maybe Frank Sound one, and in Bordentown another one, another pier there. So we can still tend in to there, but tourism businesses will strike up in those areas, so more locals would get more business opportunities.
Yes.
And the roads aren't that congested coming into Georgetown.
Exactly.
If we bottleneck everything into Georgetown, then that way the circus begins and the chaos, and when there's chaos, there's no productivity really. So that there where we losing our product. But if we go more east, and I think we should, and create two new pairs up there, that way we can actually develop businesses in that area, and that would be more of a Caymanian experience as well, because they're the locals there too. So everybody would get a piece of the pie.
Okay.
But we need to think more in that direction.
All right. We do have another caller who's also trying to get on, but caller, thank you so much for your contribution.
Yeah, you're most welcome. There's one more thing I wanted to say, but I'll leave it for another time.
Okay, my dear. Minister, I'm getting all sorts of questions about the port and other things. So I hate to tell you, but you might have to come on to dedicate some time to that. So my apologies to the last caller. I think they were trying to call via WhatsApp. So let me see now if I can grab that call. So just a moment.
Well, Sandra, while you're doing that, I just want to, okay, they're doing the ringing.
Yes.
Good morning.
Morning. Yes,
I would
ma'am.
like to say something to Mr. Brian.
Sure.
I am a listener of Cayman Mall Road, and I can say this to you. Oh, sorry. Good morning.
Yes,
good morning to you,
morning,
sir.
dear.
Good morning,
I
ma'am.
can say this to Mr. Brian. I've been listening to this show for years now, and I can say this to you, sir. You are one of the politicians that Miss Sandy can always call on, and you never back out to interact and socialize with the people of this island.
Mm-hmm.
If there is anything that needs to be addressed, you are always there to address it. And I want to say this to you, sir. You may not have it all together, but it's the effort that you're putting into what you're doing. And we appreciate what you do for this island and how you come to interact and socialize with us. It's not it's not pretty to interact with us, because a lot of times people bash you and stuff, but is the firmness of you, is the back that you have that is so firm and can come forth and listen to what the people have to say, and you can interact with us. And we appreciate that. And I can strongly say I am a Jamaican and I appreciate what you do, sir.
I appreciate that so much, ma'am.
And I pray that the Lord bless you with knowledge and understanding moving forward. You may get it all together to put things in place that is perfect for every one of us here on this island. Thank you, sir, and you have a wonderful day.
All right, my dear. Thank you too.
Thank you.
All right, folks. 936-2626. Yes, sir.
Sandra, please let me just say thank you so much to that caller. I appreciate that because it is rough sometimes out here when you're criticized every day. But I know what I signed up for, and I just want to say to that lady, thank you. That gives me the strength to continue on this very important battle that I do for the people. So I just want to tell her thank you.
Yep. And you know what? I mean, I appreciate even sitting here that it's not easy to come on this program. As Johan said, we operate a little bit differently here. The truth is really cold and really hard most days. But it is what it is. And this is what people want. This is a dialogue that people want. We don't sustain over 400 people just listening on the live stream because, they want it sugar coated. They just want to get to the point and have open and frank discussions. I've lost count of the number of callers that we've had this morning. Pretty much all supportive of the fact that you're here and that we're having this discussion. So, my apologies. I think, oh gosh, did I just cut off that caller? Hold on 1 second. Let me call back. That might have been my fault. So I'll pay for the call. Sorry. Pat says, note to politicians and decision makers, your best consultants are right here. They are your own people. Listen to us. Well, they have to engage, to that caller's point. They have to be willing to engage where you are. And Johan was essentially saying the exact same thing as well. I think we had a WhatsApp caller. Hold on now. So, there's no doubt where the people are listening in the mornings. So we appreciate that. Denver says yes. So we have to sacrifice some loss for greater gains. Good morning, caller.
Yeah, morning, Mr. Morning, Brian, Mr. Brian as well.
Morning.
Yeah, I'd like to say thank you as well, Mr. Brian, because I really and truly, I as a voter, I would like to discuss some things with our politicians and stuff, and you've never backed down to a call, regardless if it's to be castigated or not. So really and truly, I appreciate that, because as a voter, really and truly, I'd like the security to know that our ministers can actually talk to us. So yeah, I appreciate it.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for that. Oh,
Thank you. Thank you so much, caller.
Oh, honey child, he was short and brief this morning. Mr. Goodlook says Kenneth grew up on the Mall Road, so he know what time it is on here.
That is so true.
Kicking rocks.
That is so true.
Yeah, kicking rocks in Georgetown. Siobhan says everything will not be perfect, but the effort is definitely noted. Pray for strength from God. Gabby says Spot Doc would be the best spot. Rusty says, is that right? Then you might as well keep it in town. Johan says, Auntie Sandra is our evil leader. Help us, Father God. Oh, Johan. Oh, Lord. I don't know if it's the sugar in his diet or he's not getting enough sleep where he comes up with this stuff. Pilar needs to get some refined cow cod. Oh, what a hot mess. All right. We have a few WhatsApp comments as well. Oh my goodness. So somebody says, Kenneth, that's Kenneth's friend. Who? Tell Kenneth we need a big party in Georgetown. Who's his friend? Kenneth, answer who call he want to answer. Oh, Lord have mercy. I'm not sure whose friend. I'm not sure which one that's referring to, but I'm just giving you the comments, sir. You'll have to try to decipher.
Well, no, it's okay. Okay, I'm cool with the comments. I just want to say something.
I'm not sure who they're talking about.
But there is, I have been unable to answer a lot of calls recently. And I just want to explain to the public that the cause of that is because of the chaos going on politically. I have had to put my mind straight to the politics of things. And, we've gone through a bit of a crisis over the last 4 months. So my phone hasn't been answered as often as I would like. And you get 100 calls a day. But I want to always encourage persons that even if you can't get a hold of me directly, my office is available. And I have 3 people working in that office to attend to your needs. And that's the reason why we have the offices. I had my office before I was even elected. And they get paid, so they got work to do. You go to them and say, listen, I know that Kenneth is busy. I need you to help me address this. And that's their job. And my office is 71 Eastern Avenue, Crown Square, unit number 6. And the number there is 4040. And if somebody doesn't answer that phone, you call back again. And if you don't get an answer, you can WhatsApp me and let me know, and I will be addressing my team. Because I want the public to know I can't do everything. Trust me, I wish
and that's
I
not
had all the
expected.
time in the world, right? And I feel bad because some of my people that I love, and they be like, Ken, man, you change, man. You're not here from, longest while, answer your phone. And I go, it is difficult if I'm in the middle of a debate, or I'm in parliament, or I'm with the premier or with the governor, and the phone rings, I can't answer it. And I know, because I was out there and I used to remember people saying, Kenneth, Mark never used to answer, or Kurt never used to answer, whoever never used to answer. And I today now feel that same pressure as they did. And I think it's important to explain to the public why that is. And if you don't get a hold of me the first time, WhatsApp me or continue to call me. My job is to get to you and get to your problems. I will try my endeavor best to get to you as quickly as I possibly can. And that's why I have a team. So again, if I have ever missed something for somebody out there, I am so sorry. I'm trying my hardest, but there's only one of me. So sorry, I'll stop there.
Yes. But listen, Minister, we do appreciate your time this morning. I'm going to segue into the next discussion. And I don't know that the temperature is going to be turned up a little bit. So I don't know if you want to stick around for this or not.
Just
because I think it would be interesting.
Actually, I gotta get. I was just going to say, I do have to get ready for Parliament, which starts at 10.
Yes.
Even though I live in town, it's close by. But I just want to say thank you for the opportunity for allowing me to come on. I'd be happy to come back on, because I do agree with you. We need to talk about the port and what happens for the future, so we can do another segment on that. I appreciate all the callers. I'll be listening. So if somebody wants to send a message or what have you, I'll be listening while I'm driving to work. So thank you so much for the opportunity. And God bless you and have a wonderful day. Okay.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Okay. All right, folks. Again, appreciate the minister coming on. Johan had said Alejandro must be ill to hang up so quickly. He says he's busy. Alejandro says, I got my hands full, I will have work done before 12 o'clock so he can have his lunch at 12 o'clock and then get his little smoke break. What a hot mess. I tell you, no, sir. Siobhan says, just do your best, sir, and thank you for taking your time to come on. All right, well, let's look at the poll results so far. It's still ongoing, I must say, but it's interesting. So let's see where we're at. Ooh, this might be a 50-50 split. So I might have to eat my words here today, honey child. And I'm open to eating humble pie any day of the week. So the question is, does Cayman need to have a referendum in the port? 54% of you so far, and y'all need to vote. I mean, the numbers are low. Come on now. Come on, Caymanians. Say no, it's not needed. And 46% says yes, let's have a referendum. So here's how you vote. I want everybody listening on the radio to be able to vote. Obviously, you can't see the QR code. If you're on the show, you simply scan the QR code and you can vote. Some of you still can't figure out QR codes yet, although it should be the easiest thing in the world to do. I'm not quite sure why you can't figure it out. But the alternative is to actually go to the website. So you go to Slido, SLIDO.com, and you put in this number. It's 2445358. So that's the poll number. And you can also vote that way. And then another way that you can vote is I will actually send the direct, let me just put it in the comment section now, actually. And then we'll put this poll up on social media later on. So you go here, let me see here, copy link. So I'll send you the direct link in the chat bit here where you can click on that link and vote as well. So share this with your social media groups. We have a couple of them here that I'm now going to put some stuff in. Let me see here. So we'll send it to Caymanians in Florida. I think that has a number of people in that group. 110 people there. Let me send it to the Windsor Park group. And I'm also in the Washington Boulevard group. So if you guys are in any additional groups, by all means, go ahead and send in. Let me see here now. Go ahead and vote in the poll. So the poll isn't about whether or not we need a cruise port facility, to be very, very clear. The question is whether or not we need a referendum. So Like he said, we get a referendum, then there's no debating. Did the people want it or did the people not want it? I thought it was crystal clear. And like I said, not only did I think it was crystal clear, but there were actually people in the comment section, quite ironically enough, who were saying, didn't we have a referendum? And I'm thinking, how the heck y'all thought we had a referendum? Are y'all not paying attention? Now, I hope that if we have a referendum, it's gone up to 62% said, yes, let's have it. I hope if we have a referendum that y'all actually show up. Because I know y'all, honey child, y'all be like, yes, let's have a referendum. Let's spend more money on a referendum. And then what do? You don't even show up. You don't go to the polls. The last referendum we had, less than 50% of the voters actually showed up. That is pitiful in a country with only so many voters to begin with. This is the complacency now as Caymanians that y'all need to do better. For sure. All right. Jeremiah says the only person that you can count on to get things done for you in Kenneth's office is Lavinia. Well, I didn't even know he had so many people in his office anymore, to be honest. When did it go to so many? Well, if Lavinia is still carrying 80% of the load, he might want to have a look at who else is in his office. Who else is there? Does anybody else know who's in his office? I have no clue. I don't know who those people are. I mean, I haven't heard. I couldn't say last time I've actually been to his office, to be honest. Hunter says, let's have a referendum and promote young voters to get involved. Young voters need to recognize the need to get involved and the need for them to now step up and have their say. So y'all can complain all you want, and you can allow expats to come here and tell them what they're complaining for you. Sorry, but when it's your opportunity to have your say, please do not lose out on that opportunity. That's what I'm going to say. I'm begging y'all every day to participate in your country. All right. Let's keep the conversation moving. So, oh my gosh. Sorry. Miss Sue, good morning. Rena says, let's have it so that we can say no again. Well, we've never said it formally. So yeah, I mean, if you guys want to say no, then I'm like, hey, let's get it. There it is. All right, let's change gears a little bit. Thank you so much, Miss Sue. She's feeling the lilac color today. Appreciate it. Let's talk a little bit now about the topic that was ironically going to be the first topic. And this is lack of accountability in the civil service and how some politicians are prepared to actually reward non-performance. They don't even have the numbers and they're still going to reward non-performance or poor performance or whatever it is that you want to call it. What am I talking about? Well, let's break it down. There were some comments made by, and we put the story up on the website, so go ahead and have a look at it, by Juliana O'Connor Conley, where essentially she said that she's going to fund her favorite radio station, which is Radio Cayman, because they're her favorite station. Of course, some of you are going to be sitting down there thinking, oh, well, maybe Sandy's feeling salty about this because that's her competition. Radio Cayman and CMR share a slither of, commonality in terms of what we do. They obviously have a element of news. They have multiple talk shows. And, they do way more in terms of like a radio station. I don't really see them as much of a competition. Like we're not really in the same space. So I don't feel competitive is the point. The morning talk show, yes, I guess I should feel competitive, except I don't because I don't think OC is any competition. I'm not trying to, float my own boat here. But if you are nowhere in the same ballpark, you just know we're in the same ballpark. And it is what it is. I'm not insulting OC. I think he's a fine gentleman, nice enough. I ain't got no problems with him. There've been times I've had an immigration question that I've even said, oh, let me reach out to OC because, he was in that space for like a really, really long time. Give him the respect that's due. But do I feel any kind of way about him or about his talk show? No. And I'm only saying that because, of course, I know people are going to be like, oh, well, Sandy's only pointing this out because, she feels a way about Radio Cayman. I feel no way whatsoever about Radio Cayman. Trust me when I say that. I love April Cummings. I love the director, Miss Norma. In fact, y'all probably don't even know this, but many, many years ago, I used to, I was one of the first cohorts of hosts with Youth Flex way back when. So my apologies, trying to catch my sinuses as they're draining. So I have, done Youth Flex. At times I've actually filled in for Radio Cayman hosts. This is years ago over there. And, there was a time when they were actually asking me if I wanted to apply because they thought I could do the job very well to actually host the midday show. And I decided at the time that was not going to be a good fit for me because y'all can see I'm a little bit of a wild child sometimes, honey child. And I'm just not the kind of person that likes to be controlled. Did anybody miss that memo? I know my husband hasn't missed it. Nobody can't, I can't be controlled. I mean, it just is what it is. I don't like people to control me. I don't like in my personal relationships to feel like I'm being restrained or controlled by anybody. I run the opposite direction when you have a controlling personality, honey child. I'm like, oh no, you and I can't even be friends. I don't even want to sit down and break bread with you if you're a controlling person because that is just not my personality. Patreon, I having a laugh. So, it is what it is. And I think that when it comes to media, it's important to not have anybody controlling you. Whether it's people in the background trying to pull your little strings, send you messages, people trying to offer you money under the table, all this kind of stuff, it happens. You get the offers. You have to be willing to say, no, honey, chill. Not me. I'm crazy and I'm wild. So just leave me alone over in my little corner. So it wasn't a good fit for me then. And, it is what it is. Everybody has, in my opinion, in the world of media, everybody has their niche, their followers, their people who all they do is read CNS all day long. And they like being anonymous, that they can get in the comment section. They can say libelous things about people. They can say defamatory things, and there'll be zero accountability. On this platform, it's so ironic when you think about it. There's more accountability because every way that you make a comment on CMR, you have to have an ID linked. Even if it's a fake account, believe me, if you go create a fake Facebook account, Facebook can find you. Facebook knows where that IP address is coming from. And they can pass that information on to the RCIPS and track you behind down. On CNS, they have all these anonymous comments, right? And it could be one person commenting 50 times, right? Saying this on the next thing, pretending to be another person. That's why I don't even read their comments. I think it's ridiculous. And there's no accountability. We made the decision on this platform, even if you go on our website, which the majority of our comments are in social media, but even if you go on our website and you make a story, okay? You comment on a story, that is linked to your Facebook account. You have to have a Facebook account in order to comment. So it's a Facebook comments plugin, basically. You know why? Because again, that Facebook account can be tracked back. Even when you think you're being anonymous, it can be traced. Because when people believe they have this protection of, I'm being anonymous, they say the most ridiculous and untrue things. Just last week, somebody sent a comment that was on CNS about me. And I said, listen, we have detractors and haters out there. Without a doubt. They're in the minority now. And one of the few places that they can still go and spat off their foolishness is on CNS. So I said, let them have their little joyride. They'll be perfectly fine. Because nothing they've said in their comment about me is true. So it's neither here nor there. Because they were saying something about, now that Ween's not in power anymore, yes, CMR is going to go under. I'm like, hello. We were here before Ween Panton. We were number one before Ween Panton. We're going to be here regardless. I guess use the incorrect term as a Caymanian, but y'all can know what I mean. Irregardless of whether Ween Panton is here or not, or any other political forces here or not. It ain't got nothing to do with them. We are people-centric and we're about the people's business. And that's why we're here. Right? But, you know, I get these little trolls. I understand what it is that they're trying to do. So I say all of that to get to the meat and potatoes of the meal now. That was just the appetizer. Okay? That was our little tomato salad, cucumber salad that I love to make. Now let us get to the Cayman style beef and some rice and beans and mashed potatoes. Here you know. Juliana O'Connor Connolly has made some statements which I must say I am flabbergasted by. But nonetheless, she seeks to amaze me in so many ways. And I can tell you that none of the ways in which she amazes me is anything incredibly positive. However, she got on Radio Cayman this would have been her first appearance. How long she's been premiere? 2 weeks now, I think. My apologies. So this would have been her comments made on, oh God, what day did she go on? I think it was the, Lord have mercy. Here, you know. We actually have the transcripts. Big shout out to Misha for transcribing this for me. Because, child, this saved me from having to listen to her whole diatribe. Because I'm not so sure I would have been able to survive it. Anyway, 2 weeks ago, she got in and her first thing to do was go on Radio Cayman. She went on Radio Cayman, according to her, and these are her own words, because they are her preferred choice of a radio station. Now, I think it's interesting because there were some people, and I'm assuming that she would have been in this category of some people that I have heard about that were very, very critical of the premier's decision to even come on CMR as he did. Some of his own colleagues were putting him under immense pressure. Don't go over there. Don't go over to Sandy's show. You're validating her. Mr. Former Premier, with all due respect, I've said it again. I've said it before and I've said it again. I'll say it again now. We didn't need you or anybody else to validate us. We, the people, don't need validation. You all work for us. You see, this is where now people like Juliana O'Connor Connolly, when she's behind closed doors, she gets it all wrong. Right? I'm a voter, first and foremost, in this country. I'm a Caymanian. I was born right here in Georgetown Hospital 50 years ago, August 18th, 1973. So, honey child, you don't have to validate me. From the second I come out of my mother's womb, I have been validated as a Caymanian. And you can't take that away from me. So you might feel you have some power with, I don't know, expats, because they might need validation. They might need a piece of paper to give them status or whatever. But guess what? I don't need it. In fact, I was born in 1973 before any acknowledgement was required. So you don't have to validate me in any way, shape, or form. Yeah? You see, people like this now kind of get a little bit on my nerves because they want to believe that they somebody. Who the hell are you to think that you can validate anybody anyway? I mean, honestly, who do you think you are? That's a good question, huh? Don't validate her. I don't need your validation. And I want every single government official, every single minister to listen to me carefully. When you're in the space of media, you know who validates you? The people that pay attention and the people that listen. Now, if you had any doubt that we already have been validated by them, go read your Tower Marketing Report. Madam Juliana O'Connor Connolly, what you say demonstrates the type of person that you are. You're a person who doesn't believe in statistics, empirical data, or any of that to drive your decisions. Now, how can you contradict yourself when it comes to something like Radio Cayman and your support of Radio Cayman? I get that it is a government-owned radio station, but how can you contradict yourself in that regard? I'm going to show you the contradictions here in a second, and then expect us to believe anything else you say is based on, oh, well, the evidence says we need a new school in Cayman Brac. Really? What evidence? Because you're going to tell us the evidence says Radio Cayman is the number one show in this country? Well, we know that that's a bold-faced lie. And if anybody has any doubt about it, all you have to do is go have a look. And I think their new survey is going to be coming out. So let's see what they have to say. The annual Tower Marketing Consumer 2023 Consumer Survey, which would have been based on the previous year. So 2022 comes out in 2023. So this year now, when we get into 2024, they'll do a survey based on 2023, right? That survey demonstrated that not only did CMR maintain a lead position, because we had it the previous years before when it came to talk shows. Now, keep in mind, we were only added to the talk show question, say maybe in the last 3 or 4 years. And the second we were added, we were already in the number one slot. Yeah. So the second we had a morning show, we were already in the number one slot. But here's the most significant thing. We went from, in the previous year, being in the number one spot to increasing for the same category by some, let me see here now. Let me get you the numbers because I don't want to lie. So we grew from 32% of those surveyed in 2021 to a commanding 63% for 2022. Right? And the question was, who is your preferred talk show in the morning? Well, by any measure, that's a significant jump. From 32% to 63% is almost double. Yes? The most preferred talk show. So one of the reasons that the numbers also would have jumped is, remember now that one of the competitors, which would have been Cayman Crosstalk, was no longer around. Right? So we eliminated a competitor. So now it is really just us and Radio Cayman in the mornings. There's not us, Radio Cayman, Talk Today, whatever. It's just us, Radio Cayman, boom. OC has dropped in popularity during that same time by some 21%. So he lost traction with a 21% decrease in his preferred listenership. And there are other interesting things, right? I don't need to get into all the details. You can go read this article. But what is even more interesting is we gained listenership in one area, which is of particular interest, those who are college and university graduates and those earning between $3,000 and $6,000 a month. That's the majority of people, huh? Yes. It's not the high ups and the richy toity chief officers who make 10 grand a month. Maybe they're still listening to OC. But the average person making $3,000 to $6,000 a month, we got you. And anybody below that too, we got you. Okay? So I want you to listen to what she said, because she has taken over as premier. And she has made a decision that I think is interesting. It's not supported by any data, and that's why I wanted to mention these survey results. It's not supported by any data whatsoever, but she has publicly said that she is going to support and give more of the public's money, not her personal money, our money, we the people. She is going to give them more money in their budget. Now, hear me and hear me good. Government does not fund any other media house directly. Radio Cayman gets funding because it is government owned. So in a way, it is already in a preferred position financially. They cannot lose even when they lose. Even when they're running a deficit, they're making no money. They can't make no advertising sales. They can't do nothing. Radio Cayman will still be around. Government is committed to having Radio Cayman, GIS, and CIGTV. And they're not profitable entities. And they don't have to be profitable, right? because they are government owned. Now, just because they don't have to be profitable, does that mean that there will be zero accountability? Does that mean that they can do whatever they want in terms of, the numbers? They can be a complete and abject failure, and it doesn't matter. Not only is government going to continue to fund them, but they're also going to overfund them, give them even more money to continue to fail. I'm just saying, have it make sense. We heard callers earlier talking about the business of being in tourism and why it's important when you're a business owner to appreciate and to know and to understand certain things. Now, when you're a business owner, even in the world of media, there are certain things that you must understand. And so it is interesting that she has publicly said her first radio appearance, right? And her first appearance is because she is a fan of Radio Cayman. They are her favorite. This is the premier of this country, Naina, who has said she is picking and choosing her preferred choice for media. So it is no wonder that CNS over here complaining, the Compass is complaining, everybody's complaining that she's not going to have anything called a press conference. She's not going to engage with the media. They're asking, can we send media questions? What is this government's position as it relates to engaging with the media? She told you what her position is. The question is, were y'all listening? She said, we are here for Radio Cayman. Listen carefully, folks, to what the Honorable Juliana O'Connor Connolly had to say.
I'll let a little bit of news out there. It's really not news, but Radio Cayman does now fall under the Premier's portfolio. Premier?
I didn't even ask for that, but I'm happy to be the beneficiary and the recipient of that. And you guys know, I've made it no secret that this is my number one choice, Radio Cayman. It's the lifeline in good times and bad times for the Sister Islands. Not only for the country music and the music that comes out on Sunday, and your respect to still be diversified to the extent that is wholly representative of the people that we elect. So I am ecstatic. I couldn't find a better adjective to say to through having cabinet office and being in charge of Radio Cayman. So I'm really excited about that deep dive to look and to see what is there in the budget. Because as you would have noted, that this is my first public appearance, and I don't think there's any other deserving media, not that they're, 99.9% respected, but Radio Cayman and GIS should be that medium that government puts its news out. It's the people's entity. It's being paid for. There are competent people there who actually are real journalists, and the interest is get the news out to our people. And so I am anxious to look at a budget because I want to make sure that the necessary infrastructure is here so that you all indeed would be on a level playing field and can compete. And it's I'm a person that looks at the half glass full. So from that comment, what I can extract from that they are desirous for more time.
Yes.
So that is the litmus test to tell me that you're doing the job that they expect and they want some more of you. And if that's what it takes to communicate to our people, to make the government local, it's no longer possible where you can walk around and look into the pots in the kitchen and sit down and play dominoes underneath a breadfruit tree or whatever, even though I like both of those activities. We have to reach all of the people as much as possible because we're in such a delicate juncture in our development and our history that no Caymanian should or ought to be left behind. It will take time to get there, but the good place to start is Radio Cayman and GIS. So if that means more personnel or more equipment, it's my job and duty to convince my colleagues to support more funds. But I'm also the Minister of Finance, so that adds an added benefit.
Yes.
I won't usurp that authority because I'm not going to produce a deficit budget. I'm going to keep within the FFR, the fiscal responsibility. I am not, by the help of God, going to the UK for a temporary budget. I believe that the people duly elected 19 competent persons. We owe it to this country to produce balanced budget that represents the needs of all constituencies. I don't play politics when it comes to the representation of the individual constituencies. Yes, there are national issues, but opposition government, as much as I can, I'll try my best to show what Cayman kind is, and for me, brat kind.
Okay. Okay, honey child. Where do we begin with that nonsense? I mean, I have the transcription here, and I'm confused by what it is that she is saying in this video. So she says that Radio Cayman falls under her. Oh, she didn't ask for it, but she'll happily take the beneficiary, be the beneficiary and recipient of that. She goes on to say, as you guys know, I've made it no secret that this is my number one choice, Radio Cayman. Well, I've actually never heard that before. So if you made it clear, I don't know where you made it clear at. You must have made it clear in Radio Cayman. That's why I didn't know. That's called a read, honey chill. And then she goes on to say, it's a lifeline in good times and bad times. I'm not going to deny that. Radio Cayman has been around for 50 years? And it has been the lifeline of this country. But things have also changed. Remember, folks, when during Hurricane Ivan, I was there too, listening and tuned into my little radio when the former director said something about the cacas coming out of the ground or something like that. We were all laughing like, what the hell did he just say? We get it. We understand that the concept of a lifeline. We haven't had any sort of disasters like that to really put it to the test, except for when we had the earthquake the other day. And who do you think was the lifeline during that earthquake? The only person that could get online streaming, actually. Radio Cayman. Power was out, backup generator not working. The other day, they couldn't even get into the studio because the front door locks weren't working, and somebody forgot that, oh, this is all automated. Now, if the power goes down to that source, we can't get into the radio station. What a hot mess. I mean, I'd never not be able to get into my house. That's all I'm saying. I got automated locks too, but I also have keys and other ways of getting in. Mm-hmm. So she's a little bit antiquated, though. So I do understand why certain things would appeal to her. Talking about the country music and the music that comes out on a Sunday. I guess she wants to say religious music, but she didn't say that. And your respect to still be diversified to the extent that this is wholly representative of the people that we elect. Say what? I don't even know what that means. Your respect to still be diversified to the extent that is wholly representative of the people that we elect? Representative of the 19 MPs? Shouldn't you be trying to be representative of the people who are doing the electing, the voters, and the other residents of this country? What on earth did she mean? I don't know. She said the wrong thing there. Sorry. But I was a little bit confused by that. Because what do we care about the 19 MPs? And Radio Cayman is trying to represent them? Okay, Julie. Double check that statement because I think you got that wrong completely. Right? She said, I couldn't find a better adjective to say to through what? Something having cabinet office being in charge of Radio Cayman. My tweet them. And she's really excited about the deep dive to look into what there is in the budget. Because her first public appearance, this is why she chose them, because there's no other media house deserving. Poor little thing. My tweet them. Not that they're, 99% respected. She kind of loses me a little bit here with some of this. And I got to tell you, I don't know what the hell she's talking about. Radio Cayman and GIS folks are struggling. They don't have to show you their bottom line because they're not private sector. Well, they should show it to you because they are public sector, but they don't. So you don't have any idea. But I know Because I've had other ministers, and she kind of alluded to this in her own statement. There's always a little nugget of truth somewhere in there, you know. GIS has been failing. In their inner circle within cabinet, they have been talking about how to revive a TV station because GIS not cutting it and CIG TV not cutting it, not doing it for the people. I've actually had some of their own ministers come to me and ask me if I could help them in pitching this idea. And I said no, because the very foundation of the idea makes no sense. Traditional TV is dead and gone and been buried. You reviving that is not going to help your situation at all. You're appealing to 15% of the population, 85 and over. Yeah, you don't get it. Y'all still missing the memo completely. Let's talk about the failures of Radio Cayman, and they're still my friends, but let's talk about it. Ask yourself, where's Youth Flex? How come you're not hearing nothing about Youth Flex on the radio no more? The only youth program, although I keep talking about wanting to start mine, I'm not going to do it till we're ready. So give them credit where credit is due. The only youth program in the Cayman Islands no longer exists. You know why? Because nobody wasn't listening. They were dumping money and wasting money in that. And nobody wasn't paying attention. Nobody was engaged. When they asked the civil servants to go away and revamp it, let's try something new and fresh and different and something that people are actually interested in, they couldn't do it because they had the audacity to do exactly what Julie is doing now. Come talking about they need one pile of money in order to produce a youth-based program. And it wasn't in the budget. And that's why nobody not hear nothing about Youth Flex no more. Caller, good morning.
Hello again, Sandra.
Hello, honey child.
All right, love. Listen, Radio Cayman is a propaganda mouthpiece for the Cayman Islands government of the day, whatever day that is. They have been as such for time memorial.
Yes, well.
Miss Juliana O'Connor Conley, if you utilize the word antiquated, yes, it is true, because it does not make them happy that there can be a conversation adverse to whatever their agenda is. And that is the simple reason I think any common sense individual who has their eyes open knows that fully well. I mean, when I observed the demise of Cayman Crosstalk, because that ability for people to call in and speak their mind and give their opinions on matters worked against the agenda of not only the government of the Cayman Islands of the days, but also to private sector behemoths who did not want to have that discourse be put upon the public stage. You know, you spoke about Cayman News Service. Now, you yourself have said that, you know, your opinion is going to be shown, and that's one thing. But if you look at Cayman News Service, you're going to see the evidence of a specific agenda. You're going to, I have noticed that whenever I say something that successfully, write something that successfully challenges those notions which they hold near and dear, it's not going to be published if it doesn't bolster their agenda in one way and or another. Then we talk about the Cayman Compass, which has always been just another propaganda mouthpiece for, shall we say, the powers that be in Cayman, not only of government, but also private sector behemoths who want nothing other than to be able to control the narrative, push forth the agenda within their propaganda. Now, what you have successfully done, and I am thankful for, you have taken the mantle from Woodif, because you, at this point in time in Cayman's history, are the only one who is really a platform for the opinions, for the perspectives, and for the ideas for the complaints and for the identification of the inadequacies that we have here in Cayman. You're in a special position at this point, Sandra. I think that we need more people in Cayman who are given a platform that you have made for yourself to allow for more differing perspectives to come about. But we have a system here in Cayman, Sandra, that is always going to be against that. And fact that basically Miss Juliana O'Connor has shown her hand. Because these are folks who do not really respect the will of the people, the ideas of the people, or any such thing. They want what they want, and democracy to them is the farce that rolls around every 4 years.
Yep.
That is the reality at hand.
Yes, sir.
I hope to see more people come forward and more platforms such as yours come about. And that is the only way we're going to have people power actually begin to show itself here in Cayman. And it's necessary for the evolution of the Cayman Islands and her people to begin to navigate a way forward.
Thank you, my dear.
That's what we need.
I appreciate it.
Come on.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, 936-2626. Listen, if Radio Cayman is your favorite station, by all means, you can call in and share your opinion right here too. If you love you some CNS and they're your go-to, like I said, there is room, in my opinion, and space on this island for a diversity and this diversification. But when you have the premier of the country talking about Radio Cayman is satisfying the majority of the people, I don't know where she's getting that from, because it's not based on any independent surveys, that's for sure. You know what I'm saying? And there are failures. I've just pointed out the one with our only youth-based program, which is the kind of thing that you would expect Radio Cayman to be doing, bringing up and coming broadcasters who are interested in the world of broadcasting, giving them some training grounds. And that's not happening. But yet somebody just said her solution to everything is to throw money at it. And I think that that is a significant problem, because throwing money at a situation doesn't fix it. You have to have a plan. You know, you call it a business plan, a SWOT analysis, something, honey child. Madam Juliana O'Connor Conley, you've been a politician for too long. Almost 30 years, you don't have a clue about anything in the world of business. For almost 30 years, you've not dipped your foot in any other pond but the political arena. And unfortunately, that pond is infested with nothing but sewage. That's the nicest way I can say it before 10:30 in the mornings. It's a cesspool of stupidity, ridiculousness, and wasting the people's good money with nothing to say, this is why we're making this decision. So notice what she said, right? Let's go back to the transcript. She wants to make Radio Cayman, she says, more competitive. She didn't use the word competitive, but she says to be on a level playing field and can compete. Tell me something. Why wouldn't Radio Cayman be on a level playing field? In fact, they are in a beneficial position. Yes, because they're government owned. They will never have to worry about whether they broke or not. They will always get funded, even when they're in the red. So what is the level playing field that you're looking for? And what is the plan to be able to get Radio Cayman there? How are you going to put, you're trying to say that we somehow have an advantage over Radio Cayman? Honey child, you need to explain to me how that's possible. Little old me, who started out a news platform on a shoestring budget, right? As they say, on a wing and a prayer, and it wasn't even about the news. It was trying to give the people in this country a voice. And that's why I've always said that CMR began and continues today to be a passion and not a paycheck. So how are you going to compete with my passion? You think you can just go on the shelf and say, okay, hold on a second. This is how we gonna do it here now, honey child. Okay, aisle 5, can we purchase some passion, please? Passion for our people, passion for media. Is that gonna be $49.99? Can I get it for $45? Going once, going twice. That's not how it works. That is not how it works. So I'm still like, okay, you're gonna throw money at it, but why? How are you gonna level the playing field? OC needs more time in the morning. Does he really? Are you sure about that? Because I have people messaging me every time I'm on vacation or I'm out sick or whatever. They're cussing me, talking about, where you gone, Sandy? Where you gone? Because you forced me to listen to OC this morning, and my God, my heart can't take none of that. Come back. And I'm just like, what the hell? I'm like, huh? What do you mean? Right? Let me give y'all an example. Because again, I believe in data. I don't want y'all to believe one single thing I have to say if I am not presenting you with data. Yes? Question me, doubt me, call me a fool until I show you the data. Look, you know, here's the data. This is the YouTube page for Radio Cayman for Mr. Oric Connor. My apologies. The show that he had streamed this morning had 35 views. Okay, that's the data that says to you to please, let's fund this organization even more. Let's give him more time. The people are talking about they want more time. Madam Juliana O'Connor Connolly, you don't listen well, you know. The people didn't say over on Radio Cayman that they wanted more time hearing him carry on with foolishness. What they said is when they call into the program, they want them to actually answer the phone. Yes. And they want more time to talk on the program and stop being cut off because he's giving you all the time. That's actually what they said. Okay? Now, I can't tell you the real-time views here now because I think I would have to click on it. But anyway, 35 views? We don't even have that on a bad day. Right? But hold on. Like I said, don't take my opinion for it. Let's look at the data. Yesterday's show, Talk Today with Sterling, 71 views. I'm a little friend. All right? Let's go on. OC, 5 days ago, was that the one when she was on? Nope, that wasn't her. He got 324 views. That's a good day. That's had a hot topic. 328 views. And that's 5 days later, yes? 7 days ago, 294 views. For the record, 152 views 2 days ago. So you can go and you can look at the numbers for yourself. Nothing stopping you. 26 views a year ago. 24 views. This is some national Thanksgiving thing. Okay, that was different. They only got 40 views. So you can go, folks, and you can look at all the lives right here. And it'll tell you 152 views. 2 days ago, 107. Sterling got 62 views, streamed 4 days ago. 62 views online. Now, the argument will be from them is, oh, but more people listening on radio. You can say that because there's no way to judge the radio listenership in the Cayman Islands. Everybody can say that they're number one in the world of radio, and that's why they all say it. Oh, look at, I'm going to show you Facebook, and look at this cute little picture just come out. Might tweet them. Right? But people like Facebook and Meta and Instagram, they're not going to lie for nobody about no viewership or no numbers. Yes? So when you go to CMR's Facebook page, and we'll check YouTube here in a second, keep it in mind that we're kind of split for the last 2 weeks on YouTube. But you go here, you can see our numbers. So you can have a look at our show. Yesterday's show, 6.1 thousand views. The day before, 5.6 thousand views. Right? Just looking at shows now because some of these are shorter video clips. So we'll skip through those. Even the Parliament sessions, 3,000 views, 4.1 thousand. That one had 19,000. That's a short video. We don't look at short videos for the purposes we're just talking about the talk show. Sorry. A week ago, 4.1 thousand. You can go and have a look. Another week ago, 8.8 thousand. Right? Premier Access, 3,000. 2.6 thousand, 2.4 thousand. 4.8 thousand, 7.9 thousand when we're talking about street fights. Listen, nobody here making anything up. You're going to put more money in a situation that is failing with no plan on how to improve it. You want to create an even playing field. That's why she's only going to engage with Radio Cayman, because she believes that that is going to create an even playing field. She don't have no sense. She has no business sense. She has no media savvy. She does not know or understand what it is that she's doing. And I feel like I can say that with no contradiction. Now, let me show you something by comparison. As much as I has had to say about Alden McLaughlin, I have to admit that the man is way more intelligent than Juliana O'Connor Connolly. They are both lawyers, but not in the same league when it comes to intelligence and understanding the world of business and a few other things. Here is what Alden McLaughlin had to say back in 2020 about the role of media. Ironically, he was being asked a question by none other than April Cummings from Radio Cayman. She was asking the question, and you see, this is a civil servant mentality, huh? She was asking the question, is government going to be prepared to bail out basically Cayman Compass, because now they're requiring employers to advertise or to put job sites on the government portal. That means that they don't have to advertise it in the Compass. Only a civil servant thinks like this. I'm sorry, April, you know I love you, but a business person don't think like this. A business person not thinking, oh, government has to bail me out. Not if you are worth your salt in business. Listen to the question, and more importantly, listen to what Alden McLaughlin had to say in response.
But as I was listening to the folks from work speaking, as I recall, the job advertisements that traditionally were required for the newspaper, which are now as part of the portal, provided a significant amount of funds over the years to keep the journalistic enterprise alive. With those funds gone, in your view, is there a risk that we won't have an external independent media entity able to self-fund itself?
Well, it's not gone. There's no prohibition against advertising in any media jobs. It's just that the mandatory requirement is that you must do so on this portal. I do hope that it wasn't principally advertisements for jobs that kept media houses going. I mean, the great deal of challenges to the printed media. I think we're all aware of that, and there are many who don't believe it'll be around in a few more years. Not that I'm an expert at that at all, but perhaps because I love print, I tend to have a more optimistic view that it will survive, albeit with significant changes. We see what's happened at the Compass, but that's the same, right across the developed world. But I really do hope that it wasn't sheer reliance on job advertisements that have kept media houses operating all these years.
That said, we've already seen the demise of, for example, Cayman 27. So, and I'm not casting judgment necessarily. My question is really just around a concern that independent media in a market this size clearly struggles, and that was a big chunk of their revenue. And I can't see most companies, unless they're just wonderful human beings, spending money when they don't have to for something. So I just was curious about your thoughts about that, based on the premise that having media is important in the country just to keep us all accountable.
Yes, and of course, any media that is reliant on government to survive is really not independent media.
Kabib!
Hold on, honey child. Let me play that again. Mr. Sir Alden McLaughlin said any media that is reliant on government to survive is truly not independent media. Did y'all hear the man say it? Make him say it again. Make him say it again.
Yes, but and of course, any media that is reliant on government to survive is really not independent media. So I think we got to bear.
We're about to lose our radio listeners, so let me wrap that part up for you. In other words, what he has just said is Radio K-Man, who's reliant on government, and now will become even more reliant on government because government trying to buy him off with more money in the budget, is not independent media. It will continue to be a mouthpiece, and it's going to get worse under this administration, who does not want to engage with independent, straightforward, and honest media, because Juliana O'Connor Conley can't take no honesty. Let me read a comment that came in on WhatsApp. This person said, Radio Cayman, GIS, Cayman Airways, Turtle Farm, HSA, and other expensive and failing government-owned entities have been allowed to operate by successive governments now, including the United People's Movement, that they do not need to attempt to operate as properly functioning businesses, with a for-profit ethos and objectives. Hundreds of millions of dollars is lost every year due to bailouts, poor decisions, and poor management, and that is not held accountable. The taxpayers pay for the failing entities while politicians ignore the reality of the situation and pretend that is normal. Radio listeners, go tune in to social media. Join us over there. It's now 10:31, folks. We're going to continue the conversation. And of course, now that 10:30, we can click off the radio. And if need be, we will turn up a little bit. But I don't think we're even going to need it. It's already feeling kind of hot up in here, honey child. Let's finish listening to what the Honorable Alden McLaughlin said.
Independent media. So I think we got to bear that in mind. I mean, Cayman 27 survived, quite frankly, for years because they just didn't pay the regulatory fees and so forth that they were required to pay. I think that a way has to be found. I mean, of course, the easy thing is for say government step in and subsidize these places, but then of course you lose your independence, or at least the perception is that you lose your independence. So I think Cayman is big enough, wealthy enough now. Is that you lose your independence?
So he's saying that you lose your independence, or at the very minimum, there's a perception that you lose your independence. And that is true. How many of y'all really think now that Radio Cayman and this government are going to be independent of each other? They're not going to be in a position to criticize this government, even on their opinion-based talk shows. Talk shows are opinion-based. They're not strict news. So people should be entitled to their opinion. It should not be one happy party supporting every single thing the government is doing. They need to be critical of the government and their decisions. How is Radio Cayman going to do that? It falls under the premier for budgeting, and she has just said, we're going to give you more money. Where is the objectivity here, folks? It does not exist.
Independence, or at least the perception, is that you lose your independence. So I think that, I mean, Cayman is big enough, wealthy enough now to support media. I just think more innovative means have to be found to ensure that it can be.
So what the minister has said, we're not expecting innovation. And Salvin, I did see your question, or your comment rather, that, really and truly what the minister should be focusing on. I can't remember if you said that. Maybe that's what she intended to say. She didn't say it. She said exactly what she intended to say, right? So this is what Salvin said. I take it that to support Radio Cayman means funding, yes, but I take it that it also means reforming the whole of Radio Cayman. Where in her comment did you see anything about reformation? She didn't say nothing about reforming Radio Cayman. In fact, she said Radio Cayman is doing such a brilliant job fulfilling the needs of the 19 elected officials, right? And I know that that's a lie, but she said that that's already happening. And so, give people more. I want to go back to her video in just a second, but let's wrap up what Sir Alden had to say.
Funded by consumers.
You see that?
I don't think that's something that government can fix.
Oh.
Without, of course, it being perceived that the government is controlling the media.
Aye. Woo! Alden hit that nail right on the head, honey child. Even with his slick hair, you gotta give him credit. He was absolutely correct. The government is controlling the media. That's why you don't get in bed with government like that. You do not do it. Honey child. Listen to something Julie said, because I think some of y'all may have missed this nugget, but it's important. So let us listen to her again.
I'll let a little bit of news out there. It's really not news, but Radio Cayman does now fall.
Oh, yeah. So he got let out news and not news. I was like, what the hell? What did he just say? He got let out news, but not really news. Okay. Confusion much? Mm-hmm.
Under the Premier's portfolio. Premier?
I didn't even ask for that, but I'm happy to be the beneficiary and the recipient of that. And you guys know, I've made it no secret that this is my number one choice, Radio Cayman. It's the lifeline in good times and bad times for the sister island, not only for the country music and the music that comes out on Sunday, and your respect to still be diversified to the extent that is wholly representative of the people that we elect. So I am ecstatic. I couldn't find a better adjective to say to through having cabinet office and being in charge of Radio Cayman. So I'm really excited about that deep dive to look and to see what is there in the budget, because as you would have noted, that this is my first public appearance, and I don't think there's any other deserving media, not that they're, 99.9% respected, but Radio Cayman and GIS should be that medium that government puts its news out. It's the people's entity. It's being paid for. They're competent people there who actually are real journalists, and the interest is get the news out to our people. And so I am anxious to look at a budget, because I want to make sure that the necessary infrastructure is here so that you all indeed would be on a level playing field and can compete. And it's I'm a person that looks at the half glass full. So from that comment, what I can extract from that they are desirous for more time.
Yes.
So that is the lip.
No, honey child. The comment was somebody calling in saying OC is not giving the listeners who call into the program enough time. Hear what she extracted from it. This shows you how this woman don't have a fucking clue. And after 10:30, don't worry, we're not on radio no more. She don't have a clue. That is not what the person was saying. Now, you're representing the people for almost 30 years. And somebody said we need more time when we call in. You couldn't even understand that. I can get that call, right? And put this together, because I need to demonstrate to you how someone can sit there and have just won an award for being a top listener. And she can't listen to understand. Y'all hear what I'm saying to you? How she dissected and interpreted that from what that caller said. Listening and hearing and actually listening to understand are two very different things. And I'm sorry, but somebody should snatch back that award from you for what you just said. Because that isn't what the caller meant. That is not what the caller was saying, none at all. The caller was saying when we call in, we don't want to be interrupted by OC. We don't want him cutting us short because you have more gallivanting and campaigning to do on Radio Cayman. That's what the caller was saying. Not that they wanted a longer talk show for OC to bore people to death even more in the friggin' mornings. What a hot mess. This woman, I was just like, what? What did she just say?
Has to tell me that you're doing the job that they expect and they want some more of you. And if that's what it takes to...
That's not what the person said. What the hell do you, Julie? Jeez and peace. Our people.
Communicate to our people, to make the government local, It's no longer possible where you can walk around and look into the pots in the kitchen and sit down and play dominoes underneath a breadfruit tree or whatever, even though I like both of those activities. We have to reach all of the people as much as possible because we're in such a delicate juncture in our development and our history that no Caymanian should or ought to be left behind. It will take time to get there, but the good place to start is Radio Cayman and GIS. So that means more.
Really? That's a good place to start because you're trying to reach the people. Lord Jesus.
More personnel or more equipment. It's my job and duty to convince my colleagues to support more funds. But I'm also the Minister of Finance, so that adds an added benefit. Yes. I won't usurp that authority.
Let me pause this. You heard what she just said, and you shouldn't miss this. And this is why I really love having the transcripts so I can get a visual, right? Not just listening, because sometimes that mask muffling her words and, right? Sorry. Hear what she said. She basically said that, hold on, let me get this section here. It is my job and duty to convince my colleagues to support more funds. Did y'all hear that sentence? She just said it, but it was easy to miss with the muffling. Why do you need your cabinet colleagues to bring them on board to support more funds from Radio Cayman? You know why she said it? Because she knows that they've already been having discussions that Radio Cayman, GIS, and CIG-TV is failing the government and failing the political arm in terms of getting the messaging out there of what it is that they want to do, what they have been doing, yada, 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 yada. I'm telling you all this as a fact. That's not a question, right? So this is the nonsense. Oh, I have to convince my colleagues? That's because your colleagues have already been complaining. Folks, right now, the Cayman Islands government channel, their YouTube channel, is live streaming Parliament. And there are 33 people watching. We are live streaming this show into overtime. And a lot of people at work and cannot watch. They got to come off and get to work. And we have 343 people watching, 159 gone up to 160 on YouTube, and 183 people on Facebook. But yet, she keep dumping money into that. No vision, no changes, no strategic plan, no innovation, nothing. Even Alden said innovation in media is needed. You heard the man say something that we said about 4 years ago. Back in 2019, I think it was. We did a whole show with people from the Miami Herald and other places regionally where we said there has been a changing of the guards in media. Media is different. It took Cayman, the rest of the world had been happening. It took Cayman a minute to get here. The change in the guards is happening. Cayman Compass for 45, almost 50 years. They have been used to making millions of dollars, also from the Cayman Islands government and from private sector. And they are the holy grail. And look at how they have fallen. DART had to go and bail them out, essentially. Yeah, they would have been shuttered and shut down their doors if DART did not step in and bail out the Compass. Because they were not innovating. Y'all, listen, you the people have spoken. You didn't want to hear what they had to say. They took a decent radio show, talk radio, with Woody, and they killed it. How they managed to do that? Because as Jonathan Adams said earlier, playing politics. Yeah, they wanted to shut Woody down. He's too controversial. He's too this, he's too that. Well, whatever Woody was, the people still wanted to listen to him. Then they came and brought in Barry. I love Barry too, but nobody wanted to listen to her. Her days were gone. She didn't even want to be there if truth be known. Then they brought in poor Chandra. It was like it was on a lifeline. It was hooked up to all the tubes in the hospital, in the ICU unit, and they couldn't save that talk show after all those years because they were not able to innovate. They just couldn't get it together. And that's what it is. So she's going to have to convince her colleagues to pump more money into something they all know that's failing. We'll keep an eye on the budget and see how much more is dedicated to Radio Cayman and GIS and CIGTV. Let's read your comments. And then, honey child, the rest of us have to go to work. Albert, good morning. Albert Conley says OC takes too many commercial breaks and tries to control callers. That show should be commercial free. Now imagine, the funny thing is, Albert, we the people paying for it, and still, despite that, it's not commercial free. And it has, as in your opinion, I mean, like I said, I'm not listening, too many commercials. Marcia, good morning. Marcia says, I'm in Florida and I have to listen to you every morning. Thank you, honey child. Aliano says, Sandy Hill, when you go in on facts, you always offend some. We need you to just be consistent and bring the dirt into the light. Well, you know that can happen. Marcia says she listens to you all day. Thank you. Miss Maureen says, I'm listening too from Honduras. Just love your show. Thank you, my love. She says, I love to hear you out those people and put them in their places. Denver says, Sir Alden is a leader. Selvin says, both shows on Radio Cayman lack content and seem to indicate a lack of preparation. However, I think the premier is onto something with the station, but should be focused on reform, not necessarily injecting more money. Well, this goes back to my initial point. This is where the politicians who want to curse the civil service when they are ready are also failing the civil service, because they will inject funds into something with no request for improvements, no request for a remediation plan, no request for nothing. That's why when she tells you that she's going to spend $50 million building a school on the BRAC, you better believe that the results that those schools are getting on the BRAC are not going to improve. In fact, they're probably going to get worse. I'm just saying, this is the reality of their relationship. It's supposed to be a symbiotic relationship, but it's more like, I don't even know, prey on prey. It's just not working. Yeah? Ridiculous. No, sir. Johan says the world is coming to an end. The sure sign is Auntie Sandy's praise for former Premier Sir Alden McLaughlin for all the beatings that she's dished out over the years. Everybody #repent. Listen, if the man is right, he's right. And if he's wrong, he's wrong. It don't make no difference. On this particular topic, it just so happens that the man was right. Don't forget, we got to talk about his slick hair, so don't log off quite yet. Siobhan says, real journalists. So what is she saying exactly? That is her trying to take a dig at somebody. She's not even good at taking a dig. She just sit down and watch some housewives shows so she can learn how to read people properly. Because that was her trying to read us like, oh, we're not real journalists. Honey child, please. Really? Really? You wouldn't know what a real journalist is if they sat on top of you to try and get a story out of you. Because you don't even want to engage with media. You don't want to engage with real journalists. You wouldn't be able to handle the questions, woman. You would crumble and start crying down on the Bible. Oh, Lord Jesus. That's what you'd be doing because you can't handle it. Real journalists? Child, please. I worked for a school newspaper and various newspapers from way back. Oh, my God. I'm not going to date myself here now. Over 25 years ago, I was at USF working for the school newspaper. And they had a bigger population than the entire Cayman Islands. So go sit your behind down. Talk about real journalists. You don't know what that means. Okay. Just because we choose to do things a little bit differently around here. Miss Sue says she might have all the degrees under her belt, but no common sense at all. Well, I don't know what degrees this woman has. As far as I know, the only degree she has is a law degree. And that's not all the degrees in the world. I think I got about 3 on her. Not that the degrees make the person, because you can have degrees and still not got no sense. But she doesn't have any business acumen. There's nothing else about her. Even that law degree now, that's expired. That ain't no good. She could even come out and practice if y'all voted her out of office. She'd have to go back and do some kind of a remediation course. No, sir. Siobhan says people just listen, but not listening to understand. Alejandro says, kaboom yourself, Sandy. Yes, sir. Jordan says, don't forget to mention how Radio Cayman will selectively remove their YouTube videos based on valid criticisms of them. YouTube used to be their public archive of information. What do you mean? They remove their videos? Really? Why? I don't even understand that. Oh my God, I didn't, that's news to me, Jordan. I didn't know that, but why would you do that? That's just weird. Jonathan says she has a clue. She's just trying to twist the narrative to suit her self-interested agenda. Well, if you think she has a clue, I mean, I think she has a clue about politics, and she's trying a thing there, but she don't have a clue about media. Now, here's the interesting thing. I wasn't even sure. I had to ask the question just now, and somebody confirmed it. I was like, she's talking about how she's glad Radio Cayman falls under her. I'm like, did it fall under the previous premier? Because he's never even mentioned it. And so I verified that it comes through, it's under Cabinet Office. So they report to Sam Rose, and then Cabinet Office and the structure of government falls under the Premier's office. So it's not like he's running over there telling Radio Cayman what to do. But yes, it does fall under the Cabinet Office, and then by extension, the Premier's office. That's interesting because I never knew that. So it's funny that Wayne Panton never tried to use that to his advantage and, flex his muscles, I guess, over at Radio Cayman. Huh. The things you learn every day. Salvin says, I don't think a comparison between the Cold Hard Truth and Radio Cayman is comparing apples to apples. However, comparing the talk shows is comparing apples to apples, and the Cold Hard Truth is kicking their asses. No, like I said, we have totally different overall platforms. And that's why I wanted to be very, very specific. And in fact, if you want to be as accurate as possible, what I should do is go to our YouTube channel and show you the numbers there, and go to their Facebook channel. And so do Facebook to Facebook and YouTube to YouTube, except I think that they don't even do live on Facebook anymore. I think somebody told me they stopped going live, and they haven't done it in over 4 weeks. So I don't know what's going on there, but the numbers are basically the same. For the record, 185 views on Facebook, 78 views from 9 weeks ago for Sterling's show. Facebook has more of a penetration in the local community here than even YouTube does. So you would expect their numbers on Facebook to be way higher than what you get on YouTube, and they're really not. 10 weeks ago, OC had 99 views, whatever his On the Record show was that day. So it's like the same minimal number of views. Anyway, honey child. Miss Sue says, I think she needs to go live with the Quakers. She only needs the bonnet. What a hot mess. So, folks, our government continues to hemorrhage money. $500 million, half of $1 billion budget goes towards the civil service. Yet we have no accountability. These are public funds. This is the people's money. We have no accountability. No one's asking them to show any improvements in services, in delivery. Nothing. And the point I wanted to make, there's a bigger and much larger overarching point here. The minister herself, the premier herself, has said she's committed to throwing money at more of at an entity that she is not expecting to do any better. And she believes the answer is just going to be throwing money. This person Judas has a degree in education. She used to be a PE teacher back before she studied law. Oh, she was a PE teacher? Lord Jesus. Okay, my apologies. Somebody said you even covered it in CM and you're seeing. Oh, so she had a successful career as a teacher. Back then, did you need a degree though? I mean, she is kind of older. Not old, older. Accounts assistant and attorney at law. Having graduated from the University of St. Leo with the highest cumulative GPA and later the Cayman Islands Law School. Okay, so she has 2 degrees. My apology. So she's got a Bachelor of Laws and something, I guess, PE, teaching, whatever. University of St. Leo. Okay. She's not 60 yet. She just looks super old. Oh, geez, in peace. No, sir. All right, folks. That's all we got for you. And that's what it is. Another episode of The Cold Hard Truth. Thank you guys so much for participating. Thank you for all the phone calls, everything. You guys know I'm stressing my voice, but I'm still here for it. I've actually got another interview that I have to go do this morning, but the other person I have to ask the questions, honey child, because this can't do. So I appreciate tomorrow. Oh shoot, Salvin said, what about the hair? Let's talk about it tomorrow, because I don't want our radio listeners to miss out on the hair conversation. It is a little bit funny. It's a little bit tongue-in-cheek with Alden. Y'all know we got to make fun of him and that hairdo. Ooh, honey child. I don't know what mousse he uses, but that is some stiff-looking mousse. Anyway, we'll put that on the agenda for tomorrow. Not to worry. All right, good people, behave yourselves. If you can't be good, at least be good at it. See y'all tomorrow morning.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of The Cold Hard Truth on Bobo 89.1 FM. Cayman's #1 talk show is live weekdays from 7:30 a.m. Never miss an episode again. Watch anytime on CMR's Facebook and YouTube channels for the latest show episodes. Don't forget to follow us online on our social media channels. And visit CaymanMarlRoad.com for all the latest news and community happenings.